I'm nervous, man. Fuck this. Okay. Here we go. Hi. My name is Faraz Khan. This is my GDQ submission for Dark Souls 3. Low hit percent, if that's a thing. So basically what I do is I do no hit runs. And I do them reasonably fast. And a no hit run is where you go through the entire game without taking a single hit from an enemy or a boss, or you know, you can't take staggers or anything either. And so I thought it'd be cool to make a submission for GDQ, whether it be for like a main game category or a main category or a bonus incentive or something. I thought it'd be cool. So we're taking a no hit run and we're calling it a low hit percent. And if I were to run this game at GDQ, I would play the game. It would be an any percent. The any percent takes about 2 hours, and I would be aiming to get hit as little as possible. Realistically, I'm able to do probably sub-hit 5s per run 100% consistently. And on a good run, you know, every probably 1 or 2 days, for the 90%, I could get a 0 hit. So it's exciting to watch. People like it. It's less known than speedruns, but it's pretty quick as well. Yeah, and so I know I'm supposed to do commentary, and I'm not supposed to do inappropriate commentary. And so I'm not really sure what I talk about very much in my my run here. So I decided to dub over it as recommended by the guidelines of the GDQ submissions. I don't think I'm allowed to swear either, so I'm gonna try and hold off of swearing here and there. Yeah. Anyway, I just killed Edict's Gunner. There's not too many bosses in the any percent. We go all the way up to Cinder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus a few more that I'm missing. So probably about 13 or so bosses around there. I'm going to commentate the entire run, the entire any percent, plus all bosses, plus DLC 1 and plus DLC 2, just for completion's sake. But I want it to be known that at AGDQ, I'm only submitting the any percent. It will be a 2-hour run, and it'll go up to Cinder. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we killed Edict's Gunner. Right here, I went and I did something called the tree jump. The tree jump is, I don't think it's intended, but they haven't fixed it, so it's not really considered a glitch or anything. But what it does is it allows you to get this item early, the covetous silver serpent ring, as well as it allows you access to Pickle Pea and Pumperump, or whatever the crow's names are, without having to spend 20,000 souls on the key to the tower and then going through the tower and dropping down to get access to the ring and the nest. What I also do here is I buy 2 homeward bones and a dagger, and that's used for later. I did it very quickly, so I wanted to note it down. And then from there we go to High Wall. And High Wall, if you ask any no-hit runner, is one of the worst places for the no-hit run. It's terrible. It's dry. It's the same thing over and over again. It's like, you know, when you reset, you go back to High Wall. So, you know, I've done this so many times, and it's the most mind-numbing stuff in the world. But apparently people still like watching it. While we're in High Wall, I wanted to, I think I forgot to say this earlier, but the rules for the no-hit are you can't take any hits from enemies, but you can take damage. Not from enemies, but you can take fall damage, you can take environmental damage. So I want it to be noted that during this run, I will be taking damage. My health bar will decrease, but it's not considered a hit unless it's from an enemy. There have been variations of this, or I guess no hit would be technically a variation of no damage. But no damage runs have been done as well. But no damage runs are a lot more tedious and a little bit less safe, a little bit less okay for a marathon. So for this submission, we're going for no hit. Okay. It's been a while since I did this, but what I do here is I think I get a Titanite shard, one of two. No, this is the only one in the High Wall of Lothric that I get. I got another one earlier, and you need 2 Titanite shards for the first weapon upgrade, so that's why I get this one. This one's very safe to get. I sit at the bonfire to reset the enemy position, just because there's that knight that was chasing me. Resetting the enemy position makes it absolute 0 risk to getting hit from him. Drop down the ladder, you're going to plunging attack to get that guy. Here I pick up a firebomb or 3 firebombs. I need those for later, so that's important. And over here I will pick up some black firebombs. They're also pretty important. All the items we pick up, we pretty much use all of them. There's a few exceptions where we have, you know, a few left over, but the item acquirement is very, very, very specific and thought out. I picked up an ember back there as well. The ember was for it's for selling, it's for souls, and we'll sell those later. Okay, so the first boss is going to be Vordt. It's not on the split list, just to make this split list smaller. But what we do here is well, we use the golden pine resin that we got earlier, because we want to kill Vordt before he goes to his second phase, or sorry, before he makes any attacks in his second phase. In his second phase, he has attacks that are a little bit more annoying to dodge, and you have enough DPS with the Sellsword Twin Blades to kill him while he's transitioning. I believe it's 8 hits with gold pine resin to put him on the very, very, very edge of his first phase, and then you're gonna wait for your stamina to be full, and from there activate his second. That's his second phase activation when he slams his mace on the ground. From here you can get a bunch of hits in. He'll do 3 charges. They're very easy to dodge, and then he'll do like a ice breath hyper beam attack. And if you're behind him, you can get a ton of damage off and kill him. Like right here, you kill him very easily. You got to be a little bit careful, because if you're too close to his foot, you can take frost damage or frost buildup, which will cause damage, which counts as a hit. But that was Vordt. First boss done. Easy peasy. From here, we got to go and get the banner from Emma so that we can progress. Oh, I'm taking this. Am I taking this safe? I am taking this safe, yeah. So I think I forgot to sit down at the bonfire or something, because those enemies seemed out of position. Yeah, a little bit strange. Oh, I didn't even get the bonfire. My God, yeah. So you get the bonfire, you sit down at the bonfire. Someone just resubbed. Ignore the chat and the resub. Again, this is a video. This is me dubbing over an old video. But you sit at the bonfire. Sorry, I just glimpsed chat. Reset the enemy position so you can run up here. And this is relatively safe every time. The dodges are very consistent. There's very little RNG. That guy, you got to worry about a shield bash. Otherwise, the dodge is the same every time. From Emma, I get the small Lothric banner. I think I get the Way of the Blue just for fun as well. And then from here, I homeward bone, so I don't have to run past 2 enemies again, not risking another hit, and it will take me back to the bonfire right after I killed Vordt. So eliminates a little bit of risk there, and it's also a little bit quicker than running back. Okay. So after High Wall is the Undead settlement, and things start to kind of get a little bit nicer here, but this area is also, you know, not the greatest. It's okay. it's not the greatest. There's going to be 2 dogs here. Dogs in DS3 are absolutely terrible. You don't want to deal with them ever at all. Like they're really, 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 really bad. Oh, apparently I don't kill it here. My God. They do anything from really, really sporadic attacks to teleporting. But we managed to kill him there. That was fine. Man, geez, this run. That was fine. It's important to note that at the same time, you don't actually have to kill them. If you drop down and you walk really slowly, you can actually pick up the skulls without aggroing them, without them waking up. They're like eating some stuff, and they won't what's it called? They won't notice you if you just walk really quietly. I think I'm doing some with chat here, so I'm gonna speed this up. Yeah, I'm doing emote stuff. Okay. Okay. Are we good? Okay, we'll go back there. Yeah, okay, we're good. So yeah, here I forget to pick up the alluring skull. I'm gonna have to go back and get it right there. Yep, there we go. Which isn't great. But, okay. So we put on the alluring skulls. We're gonna throw them here because dogs come out. We want to be as safe as possible here. Yeah, 3 dogs is not good news. And what they can do is if they don't have the skull aggro, they can actually chase you to this bonfire. And then it just becomes a nightmare. You don't ever want to reset for this run. The mentality is really, 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 really important. Your mindset, your stability of mind. So the more you reset, the more you do high wall, the more you do Vordt, the more mistakes you make later on the run. It's actually a big problem. Okay, these enemies, they come in, these 2 come together. You want to keep them separate as much as possible. What you can do is you can either, you know, run up and do a running L1 on them, or you can just roll into them. Because if you roll into them, they stagger as if you've hit them. They're really light enemies that way. It's dangerous when they're together, but if they're apart, then it's okay. Yeah, and this is mostly, after this, it's just basically a running section. There's not too much risk here in terms of enemies, or any like special execution things you need to do. To the right there is a charcoal pine resin. I didn't get it this run. You don't really need to, but it does save you some souls if you're doing a run where you are short on souls. Let's say if you did a run where you're, you know, your weapon's different, or you have to allocate stats differently. It's you know, it's good to know. There's a Titanite shard down here. You have to watch for the evangelist up top because they can shoot projectile magic. And it's hit me once or twice out of like 100 runs. It's usually not a big deal, but you never know. The crystal lizard here drops a sharp gem. So if you are quick enough, you can do a charge R2 attack and hit him once after, and it'll be fine. Light this bonfire, and I sit at it because a lot of the time Holy Knight Hodrick, or whatever his name is, Mad Knight Hodrick, he's the you know, mound maker's phantom, can pop up, and you just, you know, can ruin things if you can get in the way, add RNG. It's not good. Right here I wait for that big saw guy with the wood on his back to just about turn around, and then I start running. Because basically I want this guy to aggro and attack me, and I want to dodge past him, and I don't want him to follow me past this arch. If he does, it becomes a mess because I'm looking in 2 directions. Since we picked up the young white branch at the beginning, or sorry, it was our starting gift, the giant doesn't shoot at us. Instead, he shoots at the other enemies, and we can wait for him to clear out all the enemies. If I didn't pick up the young white branch, this section would be actually really, really, really terrible, because the giant is kind of a sniper, and if I remember correctly, he will prioritize you over other enemies. But if we have the young white branch, we can use him to our advantage to clear out all the enemies in this section. There aren't too many enemies, or there aren't too many sections in Dark Souls 3 where there are just a ton of enemies trying to kill you all at once, or just like a room full of enemies. Like in Dark Souls 2, there's tons of places where just enemies just want to gank you over and over and over again. But Dark Souls 3 is a little bit better paced in that way. What I picked up there were the Mortician's Ashes. Mortician's Ashes for this run, they will give us access to charcoal pine resin, and I believe 6 skulls, as well as human pine resin, and I think gold pine resin. It's Mortician's Ashes are very, 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 very important for stuff in this run. Okay, depending on how long you took, the Evangelist will be either far enough back where you won't have to worry about her, or she'll be really close. She has a really, really, really long weapon. A long range on her weapons, so you actually have to be a little bit careful. If you cast magic, then you're okay. You can drop down here, and as long as you're pushing against the wall, you will fall on this little edge, and you can avoid going up through that section past all those enemies. Light this bonfire, and you actually have to rest at it. Because if you don't, Holy Knight Hodrick the Knight, I can't remember his name, will not despawn, and you will not be able to move through the fog gate for some reason. So it's important. Here I'm waiting for enemies to walk onto the other side of the bridge. On some occasions they can get stuck there. The dog and the Evangelist can get stuck there, so you have to go back to the bonfire, sit at it, and that guy just fell. It's kind of funny. Sit at it and reset the enemy placement and wait for them again. So it can take a little bit of extra time. But waiting for them clears the bridge. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about dogs especially. That guy always picks up his jar and then drops it and then throws it. So he like fakes you out. It's not too hard to dodge once you know it's there, but it's important to note. If you do that properly, if you run up and you get them running up the stairs, you can run to this door and they won't chase you probably about 30% of the time. You'll often have at least one of these guys chasing you, trying to hit you. Doors give you iframes, so you're usually safe. But in rare occasions, he can hit you just as you lose your door iframes, and it can be a reset or a hit. So it's a little bit annoying. Okay. He can't actually get on the elevator, so usually when you're on the elevator, you're safe. There's a rare occasion where he can attack you on the elevator from outside the elevator, but it's no big deal. This next guy is an Outrider Knight, and he's a very hard enemy. Thank God we just run past him. Based on your positioning, you don't actually have to dodge, depending on certain RNG. Which is nice, because you want to get to the door as fast as you can. If you don't, he has a chance to attack you again. And usually if he attacks you again, you're not looking, you're going to get hit. You need to get to that door very, very, very fast. So that section doesn't look too hard, but it's actually a little bit technically demanding when it comes down to it. So here I take the safe route. I use the bonfire to teleport back to this bonfire, and I wait for these things on the bridge again. So I'd rather do this section twice in this current run than I would run back, because I have to run back up to the elevator to get the items and rings I need. I'd rather go and teleport to this bonfire rather than run back past the Outrider Knights. Sorry, that music caught me off guard. Because the Outrider Knight is really, really dangerous. There's a few strategies that you can do to minimize RNG from the Outrider Knight, but I've personally never really liked to do it. It's dangerous. So run past these guys again. That guy picked up his jar twice, faked it out again. It's very consistent. Same thing. We don't really need to worry too much since we don't have to open the door. It doesn't take too long. But the guys chasing us, they won't iframe us, and we can just run straight. So we'll be pretty much okay. And so here, instead of going down the elevator, we go up. This is where Sigurd came from, and he kind of hints at this in his dialogue. But you can go up and you can jump off, or if you go all the way up, it leads you to the giant who's your friend because you have the young white branch. You can kill him for the hawk ring or something. We pick up some homeward bones here, run past this demon, he's a big liability, that demon. He can hit you with some really strange attacks, so you want to make sure he's not looking at you. He doesn't aggro to sound very well, but as long as he's not facing you, you can sprint past him. Okay, so those fire bombs I picked up in the high wall of Lothric, I'm gonna use them now just for some safety. There's some cage I don't know what they're called, but they're cages up here, and they really suck to deal with. They can do quick attacks, and I'm gonna skip this song. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, they can do quick attacks, so we just used 3 fire bombs, 2 on the first one, 1 on the second one, and we used 1 black fire bomb on the next one, just to be very safe, so we can pick up the alluring skulls, so that we can throw them for these dogs and these evangelists here. Because if you don't throw them, the dogs have a very high likelihood to hit you, just because dogs in DS3 teleport very frequently when they come up to ledges. And there's a lot of ledges in that area, so you don't want to deal with them. More homeward bones there. You want to drop on this ledge. You don't want to drop all the way down or you'll die. And we get the Chloranthy ring. We picked up the Flynn's ring earlier as well, and now we've got 3 rings: the Chloranthy, the Flynn's ring, and the covetous silver serpent ring. Chloranthy helps our stamina. It helps our stamina regen. It's kind of nice. We don't really need it. It's not too big of a deal in DS3. Flynn's ring boosts our damage based on our equip load, which is nothing because we're naked. And the covetous serpent ring boosts our souls our percentage of souls gained all around from enemies and this and that. I'm going to upgrade here to a +1 using the 2 shards I got, the one in the high wall of Lothric and the one at the very beginning of the game. This is just going to help me kill 1 enemy later on in the swamp. It reduces risks, so it's a really nice thing. But yeah, that's what we do there. We get teleported back to the Road of Sacrifices. This was the area right after the Outrider Night. And this is basically another running area. You don't have to worry about getting hit here really at all. This enemy, this Corvian, or it's not a Corvian, it's the, bird man skeleton thing, can breathe poison early, but if he does, it's not really a big deal. You just run through it as long as you're not sitting in it for ever and ever and ever. Doesn't hit you. And this is basically Titanite farming. So we're gonna get a total of, I think, 10 or 11 Titanite in the swamp and the Road of Sacrifices. With that, we're gonna be able to upgrade to a +3 weapon. And we also get 2 large Titanite shards, which gives us a +4, and we fight Abyss Watchers after that. So we want max damage on them because they're actually a, Abyss Watchers is a difficult boss, both for this run and for new players. It's not friendly, and there's a lot going on in those fights. Okay, get the bonfire jump off here. Notably, this for later is perfect RTSR setup. So I have RTSR health right there. But right now we don't have the ring. I'm going to change this song. Hold on. Dramatic death match. Okay, we make a dodge here so that the wooden tree branch doesn't hit us. You can either run up here or you can run to the right. Up here, you risk aggroing this guy. He can hit you on very rare occasions with a very long attack. Running the other route, if you don't do it perfect, you risk aggro from a giant crab. So in this portion, I just decided to run this way. And we're going to come up to 2 guys here. A guy with, I think that's, what is that? Is that the Dragon Tooth? I can't remember what that weapon is called, but it's a big, almost swore, tree branch. And this guy has the XL Greatsword. When we were routing the all bosses plus DLC 1 and 2, we were actually using the XL Greatsword for most of it. So we'd have to take that guy and we'd have to throw a skull in this ladder shaft and bait him to falling down so that we could pick up the XL Greatsword from him, and then that's where we would get the weapon. But Thank God we don't have to do that anymore because that led to a lot of resets. Okay. Like I said, this is a no-hit run, not a no-damage run. Or, I guess, a low % speed run. So, poison damage, as long as it's environmental, is fine. We don't worry about that at all. 2 Titanite shards were picked up there. Over here, I kill these slugs for safety. You don't need to kill them. I picked up the Estus shard, but it's really useless. There's no reason to get the Estus shard. It doesn't do anything for you. You don't use it at all. It's just a muscle memory habit. And I kill these slugs as well. So 4 slugs total for safety, for just complete safety. Pick up some more Titanite shards there. And then here we got to be very careful. We want to bait the Grue without the spear down. And we're going to be very, very, very safe with this. We could kill him normally if we wanted to, but it's just easier and safer to try and bait him into the bonfire first. That way you can kill him with 1 volley of attacks or 2 volleys of attacks. There's very little risk involved. And if need be, you can just run around the campfire until he runs into it. So it's a good thing. This Grue with the sword, with the shield and the spear, he's a problem. Killing him even with high DPS is a problem because he has a shield and he has a lot of stamina. So we want to avoid him as much as possible. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to roll past him right here. Wait till he's there. Try not to make too much noise. And then sprint and roll past him. In the swamp, the mechanic behind the swamp is there's a door at the end of the swamp. And in order to open it, you have to extinguish 3 flames. And so that's what we're doing here. We're extinguishing the 3 flames. And the swamp is more known to be a very confusing, terrible area. More Titanite shards right there. Terrible area. New players in here just suffer. Because it's confusing. There's really, you know, not any good way around it. Another Titanite shard there. So here, this is why I upgraded my weapon. Because I want a +1 and I want lightning resin, so that this Grue that's right here, I can kill him without risking stamina regen and giving him the chance to attack back. Extinguish the second flame. I'm watching the video, I'm making some weird hand signals like this, and I don't know what they're for. I'm explaining something, but yeah. Okay. Now we're going to heal up. I hope. Yes, okay. And I'm going to drop off this bridge instead of run straight forward. I just prefer to do it this way. You can run straight forward, and then no damage run, we run straight through those enemies, and it's not a big deal. If you drop off and you don't roll right away, that dog has a chance of hitting you. So both routes have dangers to them. I think right now, honestly, I might prefer just running through the bridge to the 3 enemies there, rather than running down and around and past these dogs and stuff like that, the Grue dogs. Because Dark Souls 3 has to have like 20 different varieties of dogs, and none of them work properly. All of them teleport. Thank you, Miyazaki. Okay, sit at the bonfire, cancel the poison, refill our Estus. I'm gonna drop down here, get the Titanite shards that were, you know, that I ran past previously. You'll remember I bought the dagger earlier. I bought the dagger for this part of the game. So basically, the swamp has shallow regions and not so shallow regions, deep regions. And you can't really walk through them or sprint through them very fast. You can roll, but it's not good. But the fastest method through getting through these is what I'm doing now. I'm using the dagger's skill art. So you equip the dagger. You either have it one-handed with nothing in your other hand, or you have it two-handed. You press L2, and you'll do this little hop, and you'll see my FP is being consumed a little bit by little bit. You can do this hop with empty FP. It doesn't change much. It changes iframes, but that's not important. It gets you through the swamp really, really fast, which is important because there's those big elder Grues, and they're, you know, they're terrible to deal with. Grab some Homer bones here. and use them to teleport to the last bonfire, which was which we just got. And then from here, we're going to go get our last 2 upgrade materials, are 2 Titanite shards that you can find in the swamp. It's funny, actually. So there's a bunch of different runners of the no-hit run. One of them is Squillakilla, and I don't know why he started doing this, but he treats these 3 slugs, he calls them the Slug Lords. It's a boss fight. That was close, actually. That almost hit me. He treats them as a boss fight. He has like the little graphics of a bar pop up, and he uses music and stuff, and it's funny. They've actually hit me on a few runs, and it's not fun getting hit by slugs when you're doing runs like these. It's a very, very demoralizing thing. So, you know, slugs do have to be taken seriously. Maybe that's why Squilla calls them the Slug Lords. Okay. So here I get the Dream Chaser's Ashes. I get them as a precautionary thing. You don't need them. If you've been counting your Titanite shards, you should have enough. But I get them just in case I missed any Titanite shards. A lot of the first part of the run, I'm on autopilot for. So I'm not actively counting how many shards I got or conscious of what I missed or this or that. You know, I just go through it because probably about the first hour of the run is very, 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 like, it's muscle memory. You don't need to think too much. It's not too taxing on you. Like, yes, there are hard parts, but I've done them so many times by now, or, you know, no hit runs, I've done them so many times by now that it's like, it's not like an active thing. In these parts of the runs, I often rely on my chat, you know, to keep me entertained and stuff. At SGDQ, if I get accepted, I would have no problem commentating them, though. It's not too hard. Anyway, I killed a crystal lizard there. I got a large Titanite shard. This guy will have a large Titanite shard as well. Doing the charged R2s are usually better here, because if you use L1 attacks, you're going to end up... Hold on, the music stopped. Sorry, guys. You're going to end up hitting the wall, bouncing off, and it's just unnecessary. Okay. So we teleport back. I'm not sure if I got the Farron coal. I feel like I forgot it, to be honest. I did, and I think I realize this now. If I went to SGDQ, this wouldn't be a problem. I would be very, 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 very conscious of what I was doing, my route, etc. But since this is a no-hit run, or this is the no-hit VOD, you know, I'm a little bit less conscious of time. It's not a run where you necessarily have to worry about time. Although I do this reasonably fast. Man, I just... Do I just not get sharp twin blades? Really? Oh, no, sorry. I'm going the other way. Okay. Thank God. I forgot. We take a different route. Or I used to take a different route to get the Farron coal. That's interesting. I panicked right now. I got really scared. I was like, man, what if I just never upgraded to sharp in this video, man? But yeah, we need to get the sharp sellsword twin blades so that they scale better with dex, and that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go get the Farron coal so that I can give it to the blacksmith. I can give it to Andre so that I can, you know, give him the gem, the sharp gem, to make my weapon sharp. Yeah, okay, thank God. Okay. Anyway, so what I was saying is, so no hit runs, what we do is we do them over and over and over and over again, like, you know, like 5-10 hours a day. I'm sure it's no different from any speedrunner. But in a no hit run, time doesn't really matter. Oh, I do something really bad here. What was that? Time doesn't really matter. It's more, you know, just safety or being precautious or whatever. That being said, I am probably the fastest no hit runner in terms of how long a run takes me. A run, an any percent takes me about 2 hours. I think this full run, the DLC 1 and DLC 2, took me about 3.5 hours, which is pretty fast for no hits. And if I went to SGDQ, you know, I would be taking speed very, very, very seriously. I'd be prioritizing speed a lot of the time. Of course, I'd be doing no-hit strats and showcasing the run. But I'd also be very conscious of, like, okay, I got to get the Farron coal now, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and optimizing it a little bit more. So I think I could actually, I could probably definitely, if everything went well, do this in under 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay, yeah, just selling that ember I got way earlier, selling all the souls I got. I want to get as much dexterity as possible here after I upgrade my weapon. So, yeah, I think I'm focusing on chat here. So I give him the coal, give him the sharp gem for my twin blades, and we have a +4 weapon with I need to level. Come on, please level. I must be really distracted by chat here. No, am I not going to? Might not level. Might not do it. Nope, not gonna do it. All right, we're doing Abyss Watchers without leveling. This isn't too big a deal. They will take probably one more backstab than they usually would. You know. Which is, it just adds risk to the fight, but it's not like it's a run ending mistake or anything like that. I think right here I was just very distracted by chat, talking to them, trying to explain something, whatever, and I completely forgot to level, which is interesting because this is the run that I got 0 hits on, which is kind of cool at the same time. Okay, so right up here we're gonna wait for the 2 Dark Wraiths to move because they aggro very, 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 very well by sound. You got to be really, really careful around these guys. They're fast, they have long range attacks, and they don't die easily, so you just want to avoid them. But the cool thing about this part is that they will go and they will attack the grooves as well. Dark Wraiths, in most cases, will attack anything that isn't another Dark Wraith, so you can use other enemies to distract them, or you can use them to distract other enemies in most cases. Kill this guy so he doesn't follow you up here. You can run past him if you want to, but it adds a little bit of risk to things. That guy will turn, but he won't aggro if you're fast enough. And you can open this door while the Dark Wraiths are killing the grooves. Or are preoccupied with the grooves. Right now it looks like they're just running in circles. Okay. Abyss Watchers is one of the... It's like every Souls game kind of has a barrier where it's like, okay, there's the little messages on the ground where it's like, now the real Souls begins. This is probably that barrier. Abyss Watchers is a very hard fight. You got to manage in the first phase up to 3 different enemies, and they interact weirdly as well as the Abyss Watchers themselves have a variety of attacks, and after each attack they can just magically get hyper armor. So what we do here in no hit strats is we rely on backstabs. All the long range attacks can be rolled behind, and they have enough recovery on them where you can backstab them. So you do R1s, and then after a backstab you're guaranteed a charged R2. That's how we get the majority of our damage. The Abyss Watcher first phase itself, basically I think what the lore is here is the Abyss Watchers are against all things, you know, of corruption of the Abyss. However, they themselves are infected by it. So what happens is, of the 3 Watchers that there are, there's the main Watcher, there's a side Watcher that wakes up, and then there's a red-eyed Watcher, and that Watcher will attack the first thing he sees. If that's you, then that's, you know, normal. If that's one of the other Watchers, like right there, he went for the other Watchers instead of me, then they will fight amongst themselves until he's dead. It can be good sometimes, and it can be bad. Sometimes it just acts as a delay. Sometimes it's just a hassle. But all in all, it's kind of a cool boss mechanic. I haven't really seen it in any other fights. I'm playing it very safe here. I could have gone for the backstab there, but the timing would have been really, really, really tight. And it could have potentially led to a hit. Okay, yeah, I go for the hit there. Could have killed him there, but I'm playing it safe as well. Another thing that happens in this fight, the first phase especially, something really, really annoying is that sometimes the watchers, or whichever watcher, except for the red-eyed watcher, will just look at you and walk back and forth. He won't really attack you, but he'll just walk back and forth, which gives the other watchers time to wake up again, to get up, which makes the fight longer, slower, just, you know, not good. Okay, so first phase is over. Second phase, you only have to deal with one enemy, but he's like a powered up version of the Abyss Watchers. He has a flame sword, a lot more range, a lot more damage, a lot more dangerous in certain ways. He has a new attack sets as well, new move set. And what we're waiting is for this attack. So the strat I'm using, I learned from a streamer named Tolomeo R. It's basically the no roll run strat. What you want to do is when he uses his attack, you're going to bait out the second hit in his combo, and then you're going to bait out the jump and spin, you know, spin stab. That is one of the only safe attacks on him to backstab. In fact, actually, that combination ending in the jump slam is the only safe attack on him to backstab. Everything else has a variability of RNG or not goodness. That's 3 hits, but my weapon isn't upgraded. Yes, so I need another backstab. Usually you only need 3 backstabs here, but you know, he's giving me really, really good RNG too. In a lot of fights, he'll just, you know, spam different attacks, and it'll be a pain. Anyway, that is the Abyss Watchers down. That's the first split. That means run activated. So for myself, Squilla, Hob, Dopamine, he's in chat right there. You know, all the other no-hit runners, that right there is like, okay, the run is activated. We can start focusing a little bit now. We can start, you know, actually enjoying it a little bit. When it comes down to it, all the way up to the Yhorm split is pretty dry, but everything after that is really, really, really enjoyable. So if you reset before the Yhorm split, it's terrible. Anyway, I forgot David Tanker. I get up to take a break here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can. Let me check OBS. I get up to take a break here. So I'm going to fast forward this part of the VOD. I'm back. I'm reading chat. Okay, yeah. Okay, after Abyss Watchers... Oh, yeah, I forgot. I came back here just for the break. I didn't come back here for any other reason other than, I guess... Oh, no. There we go. To level dexterity. Not to be the blacksmith, but to level dexterity. So I should have done this before the Abyss Watchers. I did not do that, so I have to do it now. Before the Abyss Watchers, you want about 24 dexterity, around there on this run. And before the next boss, Wolnir, you want about 37 dexterity. I got 36 here because I have not run through the Catacombs yet, so I haven't gained the souls I need or killed the worm and a bunch of other stuff. But before I do Wolnir, I'll probably run back or go back to the shrine and get my souls, get my souls, get my level. 37 dex for Wolnir. Okay, so Catacombs of Carthus, they're half running and half rat. The most dangerous things in here are the rat, although that skeleton has hit me with his arrow a few times. He's an archer, but for some reason he can melee you with the arrow, which sucks if you miss a plunging attack. But most of this is just running. This is all completely safe. If you don't sprint here, you can get hit by a ranged attack, but it's usually not a big deal. Sprint here, and you're going to want to mash the circle button, depending which control you have, as soon as you land. If you do not, you will stall out at the bottom of your landing, and that rat right there will 9 times out of 10 hit you, which really, really blows. It really sucks. Rats are terrible enemies. Okay, use this skeleton ball, and you're going to count four rat deaths. There was 3 there at the very least. It might have been 4. I'm not sure if I play this safe. But you want to see 4 HP bars deplete. Because that means that the 4 rats that can aggro you and attack you have died. Okay, so I don't think I was confident here on the 4 rats dying. I think I thought 3 maybe died. So I reset the position of the rats, wake them back up, wait for the skeleton ball. I'm going to run down here, and I'm going to aggro the rats positionally. So they won't actually see me, but there'll be like a cute event. When you run down the stairs, they'll run out. When you're in proximity to them, they'll run out. So I killed 3 there. I'm going to run around this pillar, aggro the last rat, and then run back. And with the correct perfect timing, that skeleton ball will kill that rat as well. But you have to time it very, very, very well. Okay. A slime's going to drop here. You kill this. If you have charcoal pine resin, it kills it a lot faster. But I don't mind doing it in 2 hits. In two volleys, basically. And then here, we have to deal with bone wheels. So in Dark Souls 1, bone wheels were notoriously such a terrible, horrible enemy that could kill you, and they were so bad to deal with. Thankfully, in Dark Souls 3, they're not so bad to deal with, and they don't pop up in too many places. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm aggroing them one at a time. They get weird iframes when you break their body. Aggroing them one at a time, and I'm also trying very, very, very hard to be conscious of the slimes on the roof, because all throughout this section there are a bunch of slimes on the roof, and they will fall on you and they will kill you, essentially. They do a ton of damage if they fall on you. Yeah, so there's 4 bone wheels here. This is the last one. Takes 2 volleys with the Sellsword Twin Blades. Not really a big deal. In rare circumstances, they will aggro you when you don't want to. You'll have to deal with 2 at once. It's a little bit of a headache. Carthus Blood Ring is important. As soon as you get it, you have to dodge to the side. You don't want to dodge backwards because that slime will hit you. You want to dodge to the side. Carthus Blood Ring, I believe it takes you from 10 iframes or 9 iframes, somewhere around there, to 16 iframes or 15 iframes, depending on the patch, if they patched it. Which is actually really, really, really important for no hit. There are certain attacks in this game that you can't actually iframe without doing frame perfect dodges, without the Carthus Blood Ring. Namely, the only one I can think of right now is from a giant, but I'll explain that later. Okay, and for anyone who doesn't know what iframes are invincibility frames. So every time you roll, and during certain moves and attacks, you get invincibility frames. So the more you have, the less likely you are to get hit. Okay, so here what we do is we cut the bridge. A lot of new players don't know you can do this. I put on the ring. You cut the bridge, and you can actually climb down it. If you fall down it, you will die regardless, I'm pretty sure, unless you use a bridge glitch. Like you ride the bridge down, which is very hard to do. But you can climb down it, and you have an entirely new area at your access. This area is called Smoldering Lake. And it's where we're going to get a ton of large Titanite shards, and I think we get 1 Titanite chunk here. Yeah, we do. A ton of large Titanite shards to upgrade our weapon, making the next bosses a lot easier for us. Okay, so here we got to worry about if skeletons chase us. There's 1, so we can kill them pretty easily. These skeletons, once they die, they wake up. If you have a divine weapon, they don't wake up. But there's up to 2 skeletons that can chase you. If 2 of them chase you, you gotta run back to the bonfire and try and lose them. It becomes a hassle, so you want 1 maximum to chase you. Okay, so we're gonna run through this lake, and we're gonna pick up upgrade materials. All the while, this unmanned ballista, if you go up to that ballista, it actually doesn't have anything or anyone behind it. It's just firing at you autonomously somehow. We're gonna get the upgrade materials while that ballista tries to pick us off. It's important to note that those bolts track, so you can't just strafe them. You have to dodge them in most cases, and they fire in sets of 3. It's also important to note that in those sets of 3, the ballista has to adjust so it's pointing at you. And it will readjust here and there. It's a little bit iffy if it'll fire sometimes. But generally, you want to be looking at the ballista at all times. Okay, we get that Titanite chunk there. That lizard is actually really finicky sometimes. Those are useless. We don't need those pellets. And we get 2 Titanite shards here. For some reason, that lizard here especially can glitch into the wall. It can glitch into the wall and it can just disappear. And then you'll have to go back to the shrine, reset the area to get the chunk. Or you can save quit your game, but save quits aren't allowed in this run. Yeah, save quits aren't allowed in this run. On rare, very, very rare occasions, that lizard can hit you. Both myself and Squillakilla have been hit by that lizard. What it does is it runs into the wall and then it kind of glitches out and it gets pushed up the wall and then it falls down the wall. And if you're close enough to it, it technically falls on you, causing damage, which counts as a hit. So it might not seem like a big deal, but that lizard has actually ended runs before. Okay, yeah, keeping an eye on the ballista. Waiting for the 3 bolts here. I want to be fast here. I want to pick up this large Titanite shard, get behind this big ass tree as fast as possible. I don't think I'm supposed to say ass. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that at SGDQ, but sorry. That worm, so what you want to do is you want to sync up the ballista bolts with that worm's animation where he's like breathing out or resting. Otherwise, like if they aren't synced up, you're going to get hit by one or the other. You're either going to get hit by the worm's lightning or the ballista bolts. Yeah. And it's really cool, actually. Not a lot of people know this, but if you stand right here, I turn off the sound effects because it's, you know, annoying. But if you stand right here and you bait the ballista bolt into attacking this rock in front of you, it's attacking you, but, you know, there's rock protecting you in front of you. You can actually use it to kill this worm. I don't have the HP bar in view, but you saw right there a little bit the HP bar of the worm is decreasing because every time the ballista bolt goes through it, it actually deals damage to it. And you can use this for a very, 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 very easy method to kill this worm. You know, man, this song is rough. Okay, I'm going to switch to the Witcher 3 soundtrack. Hopefully this doesn't mute my VOD. I really, really hope it doesn't. And if it does, that sucks. And this is all for naught. But I really hope it doesn't. Ooh, man, I just closed OBS by accident. Okay. It's also good to note that... Oh man, I got a resub. The Thuntard, thank you for the resub. And Lazy FPS player, or Dirty FPS player, Lazy Taco. Thank you guys for the resubs. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you. Okay, anyway. Yeah, kill the worm. And then we kill that worm because we want to get this large Titanite shard over here. So bait the bolts. Dodge them. It's important to note that you can actually take damage from the radius, so you want to be completely out of the impact radius. I get that that large Titanite shard. That's the second last one I need. There's another item there. It's called the Shield of Want. You can get that if you really, really, really want to, and use it to get more souls from bosses, but I don't need it, so in this run I don't. That right there is the large the last large Titanite shard I need. So I'm going to go back to the shrine right now. I'm going to do the tree jump once again. If I was doing this at SGDQ, I would do the tree jump a total of 1 time just to optimize it. I'd probably do it right after I got a black firebomb. Because from there, I could get the covetous serpent ring early enough in the run, and I could also trade the black firebomb for the Titanite chunk that we're about to get. I'll explain that when it happens. I'm just selling a bunch of stuff here for some souls. Stuff I don't need. You don't need armor or anything like that in this run. In a no damage run, I think you use the assassin's armor once to avoid poison, but yeah. Anyway, I use my upgrade materials to upgrade to a +6. I'm like, oh, you know, I don't have enough for a +7. I got to go get the chunk, so I go out here once again. Fog gate's down. That's nice. Sometimes the fog gate doesn't go down very fast. Sometimes it takes a while, but it's nice that it's down there. And I do the tree jump. It's a pretty consistent thing. If you've done it, I rarely miss the tree jump. But it's not hard to miss, actually. Okay, so back here, I talked about this nest earlier today, I think. But this is the Pickle Pea Pumperump nest, and basically what they do is they will trade you items. So right there, I traded one of the black firebombs I got in the High Wall of Lothric for a Titanite chunk. And that's a really, really, really easy chunk to get right there. It's a very, very, very easy chunk to get. So we get it. Actually, we have to get that one. I don't think there's any chunk we can get other than that that isn't drastically out of our way. So here, come on. I'm focused on chat again. I think I'm focused on chat again. Yes, I am focused on chat again. Yeah, there's something going on in chat, so I'm thinking about it. I get 38 dexterity here. Usually you only have 37, but here I have 38, which happens from time to time. The levels aren't set in stone all the time. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. It's usually pretty accurate, but 38 dexterity instead of 37. I also upgraded my weapon to a +7 using my chunks, and now we're gonna go and fight Wolnir. Apparently my voice has been cracking. Has my voice been cracking? Almost. Shoot. Okay. Same thing. You're going to kill the 3 rats. You don't actually have to kill the other one because the shortcut was opened earlier. It's important to note that this shortcut, going through it, you get invaded by an NPC. I can't remember. I think it's Nightslayer Sorig. I don't know if that's how you say his name. But yeah, Nightslayer. Yeah, there he is. Nightslayer Sorig. If you take that route, he will invade you. And so what you can do with him is you can actually bait him off the bridge. That's what I think I'm doing now. I might ignore him. I'm not sure. But he gives you a sizable amount of souls, which is nice. You don't really need it 100%. But in a lot of cases, it helps out. Makes everything flow decently well, you know? It makes everything nice. Yeah, that's what I'm... Am I going to wait? I think I'm going to wait for him. Confused Shish is in my chat. I remember Confused Shish. Okay, so usually if you wait at this door, he will kill himself. There's some occasions where he won't, and you have to go back to the bridge and kind of guide him. There he is. Okay, yeah. So he killed himself, which is good. We can go into Wolnir. But in some occasions, you'll have to run back and try and guide him to falling off the bridge in a weird way. We didn't have to do that run, so it's not really necessary to explain. Okay. So Wolnir is considered a very Relatively easy boss. I think I'm talking. Hold on, I'm gonna skip this little bit right here. Yeah, okay, good. Wolnir is considered a pretty easy boss. He has a ton of health. He has a lot of health. The mechanic in this fight is that you have to break 3 of his bracelets. He's got 1 on his right arm and 2 on his left. And if you break 3 of his bracelets, he gets pulled down into the abyss. If you're lucky there, you can actually kill that without him attacking. But it depends on RNG. So it's usually pretty safe to be here. You don't want to touch his fog. If you touch that fog there, it damages you. It counts as a hit. So you got to be careful there. But once you kill the first bracelet, you are guaranteed to kill the second bracelet as long as you're fast enough. And then usually here, you'll have to wait for 1 attack. So you attack him 3 times, 2 times in that case. And then you just have to dodge an attack. The way you dodge is specific to the fog as well as how he moves. So you got to make sure you don't get hit by his fog or by massive hitboxes from his arms, from his hands. It's very, 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 very important. Not a very hard boss. He can do some stuff that's a little bit unexpected, a little bit annoying. But it's not really a big deal. Wolnir isn't really a problem. Yeah, it's a quick fight. Gives you a sizable amount of souls. It's nice. After Wolnir, we need to kill what's called a Pontiff beast. These are some of the scariest enemies in the game. For one of the rings later, you need to kill 2 of them at a time. And they're sporadic, and they have a decent amount of health, and they're hard to deal with. But so basically here, I know one's going to spawn right at that archway. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and trigger it. By running far enough away from it down the bridge, but not too far that I can't do a running attack like that. So what you can do is you can do a running attack and then a normal L1, and if they both hit his head, it will put him in position for a visceral attack. And then hitting him one more time again before you do a visceral attack into his gut will guaranteed kill him, so you don't have to deal with him too much. What that enemy gives, that specific enemy gives, is it gives you the Pontiff's right eye, I believe. It might be left eye. But the Pontiff's eye, when you have it on, what it does is it boosts your damage for every consecutive attack you do. And since the Twin Blades hit 2 times per attack, I think if you hit them with 2 L1s, which is a total of 4 attacks, you get a bonus of 15% damage. Which is pretty big. Lloyd's Sword Ring is 10% damage. RTSR is 20% damage. So I think Pontiff's right eye is right in between there. Okay, I max out at 40 dexterity here, and I pump the rest into endurance. I believe I also pick up skulls. Yes, I should pick up... I gotta give the ashes first. Mortician's ashes are important. You need that for skulls and human pine resin. I pick up all 6 skulls and 1 human pine resin. The 1 human pine resin is used for the next boss, is used for Dancer. And it's important to note, the reason I max out at 40 dexterity for now is because dexterity at 40 is a hard cap. So after 40 points, every point you put into dexterity, 41, 42, 43, you will get considerably less damage than you would if you were sub 40 dexterity. So we go to 40 dexterity, we spend the rest on endurance up to 40 as well, and then beyond that we just pump the rest into dexterity as well, just to get that minuscule amount of damage that we can. Okay, here I'm clearly distracted by chat because I'm going and I'm redoing this area, the Wolnir area. Yeah, I must be talking about something specific or important. Which again, yeah, what am I doing? I guarantee this will never happen if I was at SGDQ. This literally is only happening because I'm very, 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 very engrossed in chat. I'm running back to Wolnir, even though I've killed Wolnir before. Yeah, this is all just muscle memory. This is all just autopilot right now. We're supposed to go to Dancer. So that sucks. But, you know, that's how it goes. What's up, Mikhail? How are you doing? And hi, Barbie's here too. That damn chat, I know. Oh. Hi, guys. Nice background, thank you. AGDQ already full? No, this is like a submission for AGDQ right now. Okay, anyway. I realize that... I'm going to close chat again right now. Sorry, Mikhail. I realize that I'm in the wrong area. And I promptly decide to go to Dancer. Promptly decide to stare at chat a little bit longer. And then maybe I'll get up and I'll reset it again. Yes, I will reset the positioning again. And then I'm going to run the Dancer. So I reset the positioning so that the enemies are, you know, in a good place. I do it again. I just have to check to see if I have my items all good while I'm talking about something. Whatever I'm talking about. Okay, so we've done this, I think, this is the second time past these enemies. Exact same dodge pattern. No big deal. These knights are a little bit tricky, and they have hit me on several occasions. Just because they can walk weird. Like that guy, he just turned, you know, to his right for no proper reason at all. Like none. Like really, really, really no proper reason. But small things like that can throw you off, and then it can lead to a hit. Okay. So we kill this lady, Emma, so that she spawns the Dancer. And the Dancer is considered a decently hard boss when people first come. It's a very unique boss. The way the Dancer moves is, you know, most people aren't used to it. And not only that, but the Dancer has a massive variety of attacks. So this fight is done in 2 phases. It's important to note that I stay right by this leg, by her right leg. Behind her right leg, not too far to the left, not too far to the right. This severely limits the moveset she has to attack you with. It goes from, you know, probably like 10 to 12 or more moves to just 3 or 4 per phase. The moves do change per phase, but it's very, very, very important to stay in a certain position for both phases. Very, very, very important. But yeah, very quick fight if you do it right, especially with the twin blades, which are very, very strong. They're a really strong weapon. And not too bad. Right here you have 40 dex, you have a +7, and you have all your rings, so you're pretty powerful. Yeah. It's good. You kill her fast. All in all, though, she's not too hard of a fight. Once you get her down, it's okay. But actually learning the fight and understanding the mechanics behind the fight, that's what most people have trouble with. Pick up that soul. I think that's worth 5,000 souls. Yeah, you got to sprint past this guy. If you wait here behind the lever, he's not fast enough on his turnaround to see you. So he will de-aggro. If you do not de-aggro him, he will run and he will fall down on you while you're in this elevator, causing a hit 9 times out of 10. So it's very important to de-aggro him before you get into the elevator. And in a lot of places we'll see that, or we'll have to do that more than once. So we'll see that for a second time later. Okay, if you're fast enough here with enemy position, etc., you can run here safely. It's important that you're fast, though, because if you're not fast enough, you have to deal with those pus of men, I guess. Those, like, big, you know, hollows with these big snakes coming out of them. They're very unpredictable. They have very hard-hitting attacks, and they have a variety of attacks, so you don't want to deal with them. So you got to be fast there. This section of the game is important to note that what I'm doing now is I'm getting chunks as fast as I can. So the flow of the game went... upgrade wise, we always prioritize upgrades for damage. So as soon as we could get large titanite shards, we did. We went to Smoldering Lake, and as soon as we can get Titanite chunks, we do. That's why we do Dancer right now. Because if we do Dancer, we get enough chunks to go to a +9. And that's what we're doing. We're running around getting chunks. Yes, so we get the chunk there. You can get iframed on this door by the thrall if you're very unlucky. It's only happened to me once or twice. But it's not a good feeling. I think we got 3 chunks there, maybe 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got 3 chunks there. Next, we're going to run up here. And this is a risky section. This is, you know, there's lots of enemies here. Normal enemies are dangerous in this run. So we're going to run into this corner. We're going to stay here. We're going to wait for these knights to walk past. And, you know, they don't see us. It's really nice. It is a common thing for this area to glitch, though. So it's happened on more than one occasion, not just to me, but to other people too. But for some reason, the stairs, I've never seen this in any other game before, but the stairs will somehow, sometimes, just create a wall. They'll create an invisible wall. And you'll watch the knights like walk over the invisible wall, and you'll try and walk over and you'll get stuck, and it's a really big nightmare. There's a few clips of it, but it's important to note that if that happens, you got a homeward bone or you got to run, because you're going to very likely get hit if you have to deal with 2 or more Lothric knights. Okay, so we got the bonfire. We get the chunks here. We're going to bait these enemies out one at a time. You never want to deal with 2 enemies at once if you can, you know, not. We're waiting for a specific attack here. This enemy has very, very fast recovery animations on certain attacks. On that one, he is very vulnerable. So you wait for that attack, and you space it, and then you attack him right after, and you are guaranteed to kill him. If you don't do that, it's likely you'll take a hit, because, you know, he has very quick attacks and very, very high or low recovery frames. Okay, do a running attack here. Hit him through the wood. You're going to knock these 2 guys off. You kill them because your weapon's strong, but you knock those 2 guys off, and you get some more chunks. And then so here I equip the skull. Most runners do this section differently. I just prefer to do it this way. So I run past the guy with the spear, and then I'm going to throw a skull, an alluring skull for these 2 archers and the axe guy. For anyone who doesn't know what an alluring skull does, an alluring skull basically, you throw it, and the enemies will aggro that skull and prioritize that skull over you. It doesn't work on all enemies. It only works on more basic enemies. However, it does work on some NPCs. So it's like, it's just, you know, here and there. They're really, really nice to have, really important for some sections of the game. What I did there is I ran up out of vision of that axe enemy, waited for him to de-aggro, and I ran down to this bonfire because we need this bonfire. Okay, this is like a little bit of a glitch, but what you can do is you can run over that suit of armor. It's not really, you know, it's a lot more like the tree jump. I wouldn't call it a glitch. But yeah, run over that suit of armor so you don't have to run across the bridge, so you don't activate the dragons. If you don't activate the dragons, it's a lot easier to progress through this area. So you run over the suit of armor. There I got 3 chunks. I homeward boned because I didn't want to deal with the pus of men again. They just frequent this area. They're all around. They're so hard to deal with. Okay, so again, dragons aren't activated, so I'm going to run over this suit of armor thing again, or I'm going to try to as much as I can. You got to get a sprinting start. Yeah, there we go. And then we're going to deal with 3 enemies here. This is a very specific sequence of sprinting and stamina regen here, because you basically have to sync up the archer as well as the halberd guy so they attack at the same time. Also to note, it's not safe behind walls in Lothric Castle. For some reason, archers can shoot through pillars and walls here. You'll see it very, very often. For some reason, they just didn't put in the collision. So it's actually really, really dangerous. This area in general is very dangerous. There's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of variety of attacks, and there's a lot of things that can happen. So you have to be very careful. This is one of the most dangerous areas of the run, in my opinion. Okay, once you're past all of that stuff, the firebomb throwing, the exploding barrels, the 3 enemies at the top of the stairs, here you are mostly safe. What we're going to do is we're going to grab RTSR. And what RTSR does is it's a ring where if you have it equipped and you have below, I think, 10 or 20% of your health, like a very small portion of your health, you get a bonus in damage of 20%, which is, you know, ideal, is optimal. Since we're not getting hit in this run, you know, you might as well use it. This was a ring in Dark Souls 1 as well, except I think in Dark Souls 1, the bonus was 50%, so it was a lot more. It would be nice if that's how high it was in this run, but it's not, so kind of sucks. Anyway, we get our last chunk, and we're going to Homeward Bone here. Because we're done with chunks. We don't really want to fight Dragonslayer armor or anything yet. Right now, we're going to go and fight the Crystal Sage, which is usually a boss you fight very early on if you're a new player. However, for the no-hit run, he's actually a very, 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 very difficult boss in his second phase. In his second phase, the Crystal Sage will summon, I think, 3 clones of himself, and they'll all attack you with magic, so with range attacks. It's very, 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 very hard not to get hit by 4 Crystal Sages. Very, very difficult. So what we do is we save him for later. We save him until we have a +9 weapon and at least 40 dex, so that we can one-cycle him. So we can kill him in his first phase without him going to his second phase. Otherwise, it's very, very risky, very, very dangerous. You're pretty much every no-hit run's done with other weapons, etc. Rely on killing Sage in his first phase. I think Squilla did New Game Plus no-hit run with the Moonlight Greatsword, and he had to get like a RTSR, a Sunlight Greatsword buff, as well as he had to figure out how to get Sage down to the perfect health, and then parry him, and then visceral him, and then burst him down from there, just so he had enough damage to do it. Because when it comes down to it, Sage is not a safe no-hit boss. Okay, so like I said earlier in the run, that sequence of drops is perfect for getting RTSR. And as you can see below my health bar, below my stamina bar, there's that little arrow icon that signifies RTSR is active, and you'll hear a sound as well for it if we had the game audio going, which we do not currently. That guy, that mage up there, is very, very, very dangerous. He has very quick Farron darts. In a lot of cases, quicker than you can react. So you want him to fall down after the first Farron dart. And if he doesn't fall down, you know, you either want to just book it or Homeward Bone, because you're risking a hit if he's firing from behind you. Okay, run around the outside here. It's important not to aggro anyone below. And you're going to do a plunging attack to kill this guy. There's another mage up here. You got to be very careful. Sometimes he fires that soul mass early. And it can hit you, but usually getting a backstab or just killing him is okay. Okay, so Sage, I think what we do here is we buff with fire. I gotta make sure I have both my weapon out in 2 hands instead of 1 hand. I notice right now it's only in 1 hand. Do I switch it? There we go, I switch it. So now I have the 2-handed weapon. I'm buffed with fire. He does something really, really bad here. For speedruns, I know that homing soul mass RNG is really good. But for no-hit runs, it's not. If you get anything other than the homing soul mass, it's very, very easy to kill him right then and there. But if you get the homing soul mass, you have to deal with the homing soul mass before you attack Sage. Otherwise, you're liable to get hit. Anyway, with RTSR and fire, charcoal pine resin, and the Celso twin blades, the OK David blades, you can kill Sage really, really fast. He evaporates. Like, it's not even considered really a boss fight when it comes down to it. But yeah, that was Sage. But that's the very specific reason we do Sage at this point in the run, as opposed to doing Sage, you know, as one of the first bosses. Okay, so here we wait. All these enemies are tanky. There's an evangelist down there. You can do this quickly and risk a hit, but it's in most cases safer to wait till he's facing you, just so he doesn't do anything weird, or to wait till, you know, he's past you, just so you have to deal with one enemy maximum rather than 2 or 3. Yeah, there's the evangelist. So I should drop down here, run over this edge. If you do fall there, that's actually not good. You want to just suction to the ground and keep running as if nothing happened. Hold on. Okay, so I get this bonfire. I'm going to rest at it after I equip my items. Black fire bombs and skulls. Because there's an NPC over, like, down that hill to the left that usually throws knives at you. So you don't want to screw with him. But I throw a skull for this, and this is why I say skulls are weird, because they only affect basic enemies, but they affect a lot of NPCs as well. And then this is a very precise section. You're going to run here. You're going to run right past that little shrub right there. And then with 60 dexterity or 40 dexterity, you can throw a black firebomb and it will kill that dog. You want to run here, throw another skull so that dogs, whatever dog that aggroed, will go to that skull instead of you. If you do not throw that skull, no matter how far away you are, the dog will likely teleport to you and it will potentially fall on you. It teleports, it like teleports above you and it falls on you, causing a hit. Or even if it doesn't teleport and fall on you, it'll teleport to you and attack you. So it's very, very, very important to deal with those dogs. Those dogs are absolutely terrible. They've ended so many runs, but it's a specific method for doing so. Okay, we light this bonfire because we need to use it to go to the DLC later. The splits aren't up to date either. They say I'm on Dancer. I'm on Deacons. It's not really a big deal, but usually I'll just split later, so I don't have to continuously split. Okay, anyway, this is a running section, except it does take skill to execute, and there are very specific methods here. Deacon split is a difficult split. Because there's you know, a sharp contrast between running and being safe and like very tight execution and very tight dodges. This is pretty easy. This guy will jump or just do a very slow attack. You won't have to, you know, worry about him too much. In rare occasions, he can push you off. This warden can be a little bit tricky. They can do an instant attack like that, or they can do a delayed attack where they run at you and they follow you, and you have to be very, very, very conscious of the attack animations, otherwise you're going to get hit. There's an archer up here, but if you're fast enough, you can avoid him. And you're going to want to sprint very, very, very for most of the section. You're going to release a little bit here to get stamina back, and then you're going to sprint again, avoiding the first 2 bullets, the 3rd bullet, and then so you got to watch to see if that guy fired. Because he didn't, it changes the way you run up here and stuff. It's very hard to explain, but it's a very subtle change. You want to walk off there and do a plunging attack. That thrall, if he lands on you, he's very random where he lands, if he jumps off or not. If he lands on you, that causes a hit. So it's a very dangerous part of the run. It's RNG heavy. It's not good. I've gotten hit here many times, but anyway, you wait for that archer to de-aggro so you can run up here. There are 2 wardens up here, and they do, thank God, react to skulls, but you got to get them both with the same skull because you have a limited number of skulls in this part of the run. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm waiting for that warden who just came down the stairs to appear. I'm going to throw a skull and I'm going to sprint, and hopefully if I did this right, they will not follow me to the door. Kill that guy just in case, and then open this door. This door takes forever to open. It looks like I did do it correctly, so yeah, we don't have to worry about enemies aggroing or chasing us down here. If they do chase us, it becomes just really bad, really scary. Okay, so earlier I talked about the Carthus Blood Ring. I talked about an attack where it's like, it's really hard to iframe without. That attack is from this giant. So this is a very specific section as well. You're going to run, you're going to do an attack that kills that guy, you're going to get the Lord's Sword Ring, and you're going to sprint. You cannot take any more time than that. And depending on the giant RNG, it's either going to be very easy or very hard. What he can do is he can do a fist slam that'll have a dust cloud as well, so it's like a double hitbox. And it's like, if you aren't perfect with your running and stamina management in that part, it will like straight up, like, you know, it's gonna hit you. Like it's very difficult to deal with. I take out the dagger again so I can scoot past this part using the skill art. Make sure I don't get hit by the giant. Those slime positions seem to be random. In very rare occasions they can block you. You can take a hit, but it happens very rarely. But yeah, the rest is just running to Deacons. It's no big deal. There's a fireball you might have to avoid here, but usually they don't aggro. Okay, and so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna heal up, and then we're gonna equip the Lloyd's Sword Ring, and we're gonna fight the Deacons. The Deacons isn't considered a very hard fight in normal game standards. However, for the no-hit run, it is one of the hardest fights to deal with. It's one of the most annoying, not most difficult, but most annoying RNG heavy fights that there are. Because when it comes down to it, you have, I don't know how many Deacons are in the room, but there's more than 10. More than 10 Deacons in the room, potentially doing attacks randomly. Okay, and it's important to note as well that alluring skulls work on the Deacons, on all Deacons except for the main Deacon in phase 2. But yeah, they can all fire fireballs. The fat Deacons can do a stagger move that counts as a hit even though it doesn't damage you. And they can also do a lunging attack. So the fat Deacons are the most dangerous ones. So what we do is we run around them in a circle. And if you've been to Squill's stream, he calls it NASCAR. But you run around them in a circle because you want to constantly be strafing fireballs and attacks. And you want to kill 4 Deacons in this first phase. 4 Deacons, and then we you know, position them in a certain way. But this fight can take a while. I'm pretty fast at it, but I know in some cases some runners have taken, I think, 26 minutes. I think School took 26 minutes one time to finish this fight. It was a really long fight. But yeah, kill the Deacons, or kill 4 Deacons with, oh, I forgot to explain like how the fight works. Like so there's a bunch of Deacons, and basically the glowing one, you see him right there, the glowing one, he has an aura around him. That's the one you kill, and if you kill him, you do a set amount of damage. That's the one you're always aiming. So if you do that 4 times in a row, you pull him back over here, and you do it a 5th time, that will put this fight into the second phase, where this Pope Deacon will pop up, and that's the one you want to kill. With the Twin Blades, you're really strong, so you can one-cycle them pretty easily. But you have to be very cautious of your Alluring Skull positioning and your stamina management. It's very important to throw the skull in a very specific place, not too close and not too far. If you throw it too far, they don't aggro. If you throw it too close, they'll start doing stagger attacks and you'll get hit. And you need perfect stamina, or not, you need good stamina management. So that you have enough stamina to throw the skull and attack the Deacon right away, the main Deacon, because if you don't, he can attack you. He doesn't react to the skull. Okay. A lot of information. Anyway, once you kill that Deacon, you get something called the Small Doll. And what that Small Doll does... Oh, I'm checking out an emote. Hold on. What that skull does is it allows you to go into Irithyll. And in Irithyll, well, Irithyll is where Yhorm is, and it's where you have Pontiff, and then you get access to Aldrich and stuff. And those are all bosses you need to fight and kill, so that you can do, so that you can have access to the Twin Princes. Because after all, this is a run with no skips, no glitches, no save quits. So when we do all bosses, we do all bosses. Yeah. Anyway, these enemies are pretty difficult to deal with in most cases. I think they're called Pontiff Knights. Yeah, they're called Pontiff Knights. They have very quick attacks. They're reasonably tanky, and they have very quick recovery animations. So what I'm doing here is I'm waiting for one of two attacks. It's either going to be a spin, or it's going to be a spin slam. The spin... So that's the spin slam. What you need to do is you need to wait for 4 of them before you can attack them. If you don't wait for 4 of them, they can spin at you. They have a maximum of 4 spins. The other attack is a lot safer. Or actually, you can go for this attack too. This attack's just really rare. I'm gonna vomit a projectile at you, a tracking projectile. That attack's more rare, especially at point blank, but you can wait for that attack too. Hopefully one of these ones will demonstrate the spin slam. But you got to be very slow, very careful in this area. If you try and run through this area, you will almost guarantee get hit. These enemies do not respond to alluring skulls. And they're also very quick. So right there, that was 4 slams, so it's safe to do a running attack and a normal attack to kill it. Yeah. Which is nice. This last one with the shield, you want to attack him from behind. If you do not, he becomes a little bit difficult to deal with. If you attack him, you'll bounce off his shield, and he'll do he can do an instant attack, which will cause a hit. So it's not good. In some cases, you can also run past him, but in the no-hit run, we tend to not take risks. Okay. These enemies are no problem. It's what's coming next is the difficult part. So the Yhorm split is very, very RNG heavy in certain segments. It's where a lot of resets happen, and it's the last part of the run that's really, really, really hard to deal with. The Yhorm split has fire witches. I think that's what they're called. You'll see one right there walking right now. The fire witches have an attack. I just call it the fire wave. It's basically a fire trail. It chases you. It moves very fast, and it tracks you, so it can turn as well. And in its turning, sometimes it can turn at a full 180 degrees, making it absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. In some cases, you just can't dodge it. Like, you just will not be able to dodge it. It's a very, 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 very difficult to deal with attack. And if you have to deal with more than one enemy at once, or sometimes they double up, so there it is, right? If I didn't dodge there, it also has a massive hitbox. I would have gotten hit. But depending on RNG, like there's some instances where this Fire Witch cannot do any fire waves, and there's some instances where, like right there, you saw how it went up and then it came and jumped back down in a strange manner. It's just, you know, it's difficult to deal with. But again, that Fire Witch can do sometimes 3 fire waves at a time. Sometimes it can do none. And it's probably, yeah, it's the most RNG heavy thing you'll have to deal with. The most RNG enemy you'll probably have to deal with in this run for sure. Most of the time it's just, you know, it's a joke. But anyway, after you kill that Fire Witch, or get past that Fire Witch, you're pretty much in the clear. Meaning that this next area is pretty much just a running segment. You don't have to worry about too much. It's like you can relax a bit. Yeah, just roll through some boxes. You know, run past some enemies. Very, very unlikely to get hit. If there was any, this would be a pretty good time for donations, or not, you know, like reading donations. I hear a dog. Reading donations, if, you know, the SGDQ thing. Yeah. The only real thing right now, yeah, this would be a great section for donations, honestly. The only real thing right now worth explaining is that I go to Distant Chapel this bonfire, and then I go back to Firelink so that I can get access to patches. It's important to note that there's a few different ways to get at patches, one of them being the Sigurd questline, which involves a bunch of different things. But also, if you get all the way to the distant chapel bonfire, he will appear in Firelink. And so earlier what we did is we did a tree jump to bypass buying this key that we're going to buy right now. However, in order to unlock patches, we have to buy this key. So I sell some souls, I buy the key, I make sure I have Homeward Bones on me, and we're going to go get patches. And the reason we get patches is because he sells Alluring Skulls. And we need Alluring Skulls for the rest of the run. They're actually very important. We need about approximately 10 more for the 90%. And then beyond that, you know, I think we need like a total of 30 for all bosses plus DLC 1 and 2, but only 10 for the 90%. Anyway, what we do is we use the key, we walk up here, we go through this gate, and we get in the elevator. We get on the elevator, sorry. And if you're listening to game audio, you'll hear that gate close. And that means Patches has locked you in there. And so that's a dead end. There's no real way to get out there unless you do some very specific falls. It's very hard to get out of there alive. But if you just Homeward Bone, you're fine. See, Homeward Bone, I think I buy 10 charcoal pine resin here and 10 Homeward Bones, depending on... I buy a total of 10, so I get a total of 10. I buy an amount that gives me a total of 10. Because depending on how Aldrich handles, how Aldrich RNG is, we'll have to use a bunch of the Homeward Bones. So yeah, after Patches screws you over, you can find him here, you can talk to him, you can forgive him or not. Either way, he will sell you Alluring Skulls and Human Pine Resin, which is Dark Element, which is needed later. But yeah, get a total of, I think, 10 skulls. And we get 1 level. We can totally skip this level and just do it later. Yeah, 1 level. And we're going to go and fight Yhorm now. We're going to go through the Irithyll dungeon as well. Just make sure my rings are good. Make sure my items are good. And we continue. It's important to note as well that Yhorm, in the Yhorm split, the Yhorm split glitches here and there in a lot of different ways. Sometimes the area just glitches, and sometimes the enemies glitch. And it's a really, really, really hard area if it's your first time through. It's confusing, it's weird. There's these enemies in it that are really, really hard to deal with. It's not a pleasant area. I think it's my least favorite area in the game to just play casually. But yeah, you run past the Fire Witch, you turn around to make sure he doesn't throw a fire trail at you. And you're going to get invaded here by Alva. And Alva invading makes it so you can't Homeward Bone. So if something bad happens in this split, a lot of the time you're just screwed because you can't Homeward Bone. Yeah, it's terrible. These enemies are unique to Irithyll Dungeon, and they're the worst enemies in the world. They have a bunch of different things they can do. The most notable of which is they can reduce your max HP. And if they reduce your max HP by even 1 little bit, it's considered a hit. So you have to be very, very quick with these things, because the way their attack works is if they're looking at you for a certain period of time, their gaze is an attack. It will reduce your max HP. So you cannot be in their vision, which means you have to either kill them before the allotted time, or you just have to be, you know, not in view. But other than that, this area is not so bad. So you kill the first 2 or the first 3 jailers. You can run past the next one. After that, it's just a running section. Here, it's a little bit tricky. There's an archer that's going to fire at you. There's an archer that wakes up behind you. You can strafe the first arrow, and you can dodge into that enemy that gets up with the butcher's knife, just so he doesn't attack you. But if you don't execute that properly, it's a little bit difficult. Okay, make sure you don't drop on that giant's elbow because he wakes up. And here's where you need skulls. So there's a bunch of rats in this area. First skull for the first 3 rats. Second skull for, like, I think there's 4 rats here. Yeah, there's 4 rats here. Sometimes that rat gets stuck. And then there's 2 big juicer rats here. Big mofo rats. Use a skull for them as well so you can open this gate safely. Because those rats can be absolutely terrible. They can iframe through you. They can block you. They can, you know, do this. And this right here is a very specific route that we run by. So that we don't get hit by any of the jailer's HP drain attacks while being able to run away from the rats. So that might not look very specific, but that's a very, very, very specific movement there. I heard something. And here, what we got to do is we got to deal with a gargoyle. You're going to run up to him. You're going to wait till he goes up, and then you're going to start dodging. He can do 4 different attacks, and you got to know all of them very, very, very well. Otherwise, you're going to take a hit. That gargoyle is probably the least dangerous gargoyle of all the gargoyles in the run. Man, jeez. Throat's getting parched. There's Laddersmith Gilligan. He'll lay in there, he's dead. Anyway. Okay. So now we are basically at the Yhorm fight. There's one little section to run past. It's not too hard. You can do it 2 ways. You can either run past a gargoyle or you can dodge fireballs. I prefer to dodge fireballs. The fireballs come from that big profane flame with all the little white jailers around it. They come fast and they have an explosion radius. So, you know, they can catch you off guard. And you always want to dodge them. Always, 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 always. You never want to rely on them colliding with the wall or this or that. You know, you always want to dodge them. But anyway, you fall down there. Fairly simple, fairly easy. These jailers do not have HP drain attacks. Instead, they have, you know, fireballs and fire, flamethrower breath and stuff like that. But they're not too hard to deal with. And we're on Yhorm. So in Yhorm, what we do is we run through his legs for the first attack. We grab that Storm Ruler behind him. We equipped it. And then we kill him with the Storm Ruler. Okay? And the Yhorm fight, it seems very straightforward, but it's actually pretty tricky. Yhorm fight, you have to worry about a few things with the Storm Ruler. So what you do here is you're charging up the weapon art. After a certain amount of charge, you can press R1, and it will do a ranged attack that deals a ton of damage to Yhorm. But it's very important to note that if you are near a pillar or a wall or a small set of stairs, there's a high chance, or there's a chance, not a high chance, that the attack will somehow, for some reason, just miss. And it leaves you with 0 stamina, so if it misses, there's a high chance you're going to get hit. Okay. It's also important to note that the way Yhorm works is he has 2 phases. He can go into the second phase early. He's in the second phase now. He'll be like embered, basically. He'll be fired up. And in his second phase, he has a lot more attacks, and he's a lot more dangerous. He has an attack where he can, you know, he might do it. Yeah, he tries to dunk you. You know, he jumps across the room. It's called the Michael Jordan. Yeah, it leads to a lot of dangerous situations. So Yhorm doesn't seem too hard, and he's not too hard of a fight in itself, but you got to be very careful with him. I've seen a few speedrunning strats where they just stay between his legs, and they just kill him really fast that way. The problem with that is you got to be really, really, really far away from Yhorm in the no-hit, because if you're too close to his legs, what he'll do is he'll do an attack. So right here, I don't want to use a Storm Ruler because I'm too close to the Fog Gate. It might not hit him for some reason. But he'll do an attack which is an instant attack, and it's a stagger attack. It doesn't do any damage to you. But in the no-hit run, it counts as a hit. Because it'll knock you off balance. So it's not like we have any danger of dying. We have danger of that attack, basically. But yeah, you kill Yhorm. I think I equipped the Silver Serpent Covenant, the covetous Silver Serpent ring. Sorry, for some extra souls. I did. I'm gonna put. No. I need Lloyd's sword ring, not RTSR. God, I hope I didn't forget that. But we're gonna go and level up, and then we fight Pontiff. And this, so if we were just doing the 90%, this is the part of the run where it's like, okay, we actually have a chance to get a run. Or it's like, okay, you know, now it starts to become fun. Now it starts to become a little bit more boss heavy rather than enemy heavy or area like lots of running, you know. Bosses are a lot more fun in this, for me personally, than normal enemies and running. So I like this part of the run. Right there, I think I got up to 29 endurance. It's pretty important. Oh my god, Lenny, thank you for the resub, man. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you very much. And whoever else I missed. I think I'm alright. But yeah. Okay, so from here we go to Pontiff. Warp back to the distant chapel bonfire. And this is actually a really, really hard section. It's very, very specific in how you have to do it. The stamina management is very, very, very important. And it can glitch out as well. This, not this right here, but the next section coming up. So this right here is a little bit tricky. You got 3 like centipede things, and in some cases they can attack in a almost undodgeable formation. They usually don't, but you know, it's happened before, and it's not cool. Anyway, run past here, run under the archway so that we don't risk getting hit by the arrow. And then here we're safe. What we're going to use is we're going to use the Budding Green Blossom, which is going to give us a ton of stamina regen, which we really do need. And we're going to have our skulls out. This is a very, very, very specific set of movements. Colby Cheese came up with this way back when we were trying to figure out this run. This is a Colby Cheese strat. You run up behind the lamp, you throw the skull, you make sure not to get stuck behind the dog. You run up to this guy, he should cast magic over you. You throw another skull, you avoid these 2 darts. You allow a little bit of stamina regen, and then you run past this guy, and you gotta rotate. It's very important to rotate the camera there. Just the way magic works. And then you're pretty much in the clear if you do that perfectly. If you do not do it perfectly, in a lot of scenarios, a dog will chase you, and the dog will teleport a lot of the time, which is not a good thing. You know, so it could risk a hit. This guy here, he can do 3 things. He can do a buff as a weapon, he can do a quick attack, or he can do a delayed attack. So you got to know all of them. Okay, Pontiff. Pontiff is a very complicated fight, and I think I'm the only one who fights him this way. Most other runners parry him, or, you know, well, most other runners parry him. I think a few other runners maybe fight him the way I do, but I fight him a lot more close. I think Hob doesn't parry him. Yeah, the Happy Hob doesn't parry him, but he fights him far. I'm the only one who fights him close like this. With Pontiff, the way he works is he's a very reactionary boss. That being said, what it means is, depending on your position and depending on if you're attacking him or not, he will do a counter hit where he will do a back swipe. And he can basically chain these into infinite combos if he really, really wants. It's not likely, but he can. So a lot of new players kind of, you know, have trouble with him. God, these fights go so fast. About halfway down through his health, he'll activate his second phase. What he'll do is he'll do an animation, then after that he'll summon a shadow of himself. If you do not kill that shadow of himself, it gets very difficult, because what he'll do is he'll do attacks where he doubles up on them. So his shadow will attack, and then he will attack. And it's very hard to dodge them both and hit him as well. And also he can vary the attacks, you know, it just becomes a mess. So you want to kill the shadow as it spawns. You need enough DPS to do that. Thank God the twin blades are enough to do it. But yeah, also in his second phase, his moveset changes and his timings change. So if you are fighting his second phase, you need to be very, 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 very conscientious of his moveset and how it changes. The counter exchange, everything changes in his second phase. Okay, I threw some skulls there for those NPCs. I threw 2. Some people throw 3 or 4 because those NPCs, one especially, I don't know who named this. I think it was the Happy Hob that named him this. Is named Jon Snow. Jon Snow will follow you in some occasions all the way up here. Somehow he retains his aggro, and it makes it very difficult. So you usually have to Homeward Bone, which is a drag, and you don't want to do it. But yeah. Okay. So, given that Jon Snow doesn't follow you, you stay here, you hold up here, and you wait for everybody to, or all the enemies to de-aggro you. Once they're de-aggroed, you walk. You walk very, very, very slowly, cautiously, because they're heavily based on, you know, sight aggro. They can't hear you if you're walking, so you can just walk behind all of them, which is a really nice thing. We used to have to actually sprint this section and just dodge arrows by either knowing they were coming or by audio cues, which was a lot more dangerous. And it would also lead us to having to dodge. There's a knight down there coming up, having to dodge that knight, which added RNG to it because he could do an attack, a normal attack or a delayed attack. It just sucked. Depending on the positioning of how you fell, one of the arrow knights will aggro up there, but if you do it properly, you shouldn't get any aggro at all here. None. And then once you pass this archway, you can run and you're pretty much safe. Someone might shoot an arrow at you, but it won't get there quick enough for it to be a big deal. Okay. Whew. And that's all there pretty much is to Aldrich, or the Aldrich running section. You get the elevator here. I'm checking RTSR. I got RTSR. I want to have fire, a charcoal pine resin, and Homeward Bones. I don't need to pick up that ember. It's more of just like a backup in case I'm out of souls or something. But yeah, you pull the lever, you wait, you go up here, you pull the lever again, and that area will lead you to Aldrich. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to repeatedly jump off the stairs and then run back up and then jump off again. This is so I can take enough fall damage so that my health will be low enough to have RTSR active. RTSR is pretty important for Aldrich. Not super important with the Twin Blades, but you want to kill Aldrich as fast as possible because Aldrich, Aldrich has RNG elements to him. That can be a little bit difficult. The main one being the second phase arrows. You might see me Homeward Bone here. I'm not sure if I do. But if I Homeward Bone, it's because I got second phase arrows. The reason I Homeward Bone those arrows is because it becomes so dangerous of a fight. You want to fight Aldrich close. If you fight Aldrich close, you don't have to deal with magic. But if he uses his second phase arrows, you have to run away. They track you very well. And as you run away, he can cast magic at you, invoking a high level of RNG. The arrows themselves are hard enough to dodge, but if you have arrows and magic, it becomes even harder to dodge. So instead of deal with that, no hit runners will just Homeward Bone out of the fight. And redo the first phase rather than risk magic and arrows in the second phase. Yeah, this in this run, momentum's also very, very, very important. So I've seen someone Homeward Bone out of the fight like 8 times or something, but yeah, it sucks. But hopefully we get this in one try. The majority of the time, if you do the fight right, you will get proper RNG and you'll be able to one-shot this. So it's usually okay. Okay, so to explain this, what I do is I attack his tail. I'm gonna hit him, I think, 4 or 5 times. 3, 4. I want to do between 1600 damage and 1640 damage. Anything more than that will push him into his second phase, which I don't want. I want him to be in his first phase, and I want to be at full stamina so that I can attack him as much as possible. Right here. I don't get it. Okay, so I almost got the 1 cycle there. I almost got the 1 cycle. I was a speck of health off. But now he's in his second phase. I get the good RNG, which is the scythe, the Life Hunter Scythe Spin, which you need to space and then dodge into. So the fight itself was not that difficult. We got very, 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 very good RNG in that fight. And that's how the fight should look, and it will look most of the time. Okay, after killing Aldrich, you will be teleported to Dancer, and if you didn't kill Dancer earlier, this is when you would fight Dancer. Now this is the sequence of events that the game is meant to go in. You're supposed to kill, I think, 4 Lords of Cinder. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, Aldrich, Yhorm, and Abyss Watchers. And then that will teleport you to Dancer. You're supposed to kill Dancer, then you get access to Lothric Castle. Once you get access to Lothric Castle, you can fight Dragonslayer armor, as well as Twin Princes. But we did Dancer early. We activated this lift early, and got, you know, on our route, we got a bunch of chunks and stuff, Titanite chunks. So we essentially don't have to do this for a second time. It's very, very, very nice to have this elevator that's a shortcut. Although it's important, it's, well, not really important to know, but that elevator is ridiculously slow. Very, very, very slow. Okay. Dragonslayer. Dragonslayer armor is a very tough fight. Very, very, very tough fight. In some cases, you can get a quick kill. But basically what's going to happen is he's going to have a first phase, and that first phase isn't too hard. The second phase is what's hard. I'm going to attack him, I think, 4 or 5 times. And then he's going to do his phase 2 animation, his transition, where he will do this. Yes. And then he'll start doing his phase 2 attacks. So he gets a bunch of phase 2 attacks himself, as well as there are pilgrim butterflies on both my left and my right side. And so what I need to do is I need to be very particular, we got a quick kill, about the audio cues to tell which attacks they're doing at one time. If they're attacking both at the same time, if they're doing one of 3 attacks, either meatballs or the big ball or a laser. And I need to you know, very much be very safe and navigate the fight with all those things in mind. So if it's a longer fight, if you don't get the quick kill, it becomes a very dangerous fight, but you just have to do it. Your multitasking and your, you know, ability to tell what's going on by audio cues and you know, that fight really tests it. So you can get really lucky and have a very easy fight, or you can get very unlucky and have a very hard fight. I think the worst RNG you can get is probably having Dragonslayer armor very close to you while having 2 big projectile balls fire at you at the same time. That's very, very, very hard to dodge, and it happens very rarely, but it's very hard to dodge. Okay, so what I do here after Dragonslayer armor is I, you know, of course, sell all my souls. I upgrade dexterity. I don't think I need anything here. I don't know why I'm doing this. Yeah. Talking to chat again. I'm getting excited because, you know, we are potentially about to get 90%. Yeah, so there I have 40 dex and 40 endurance with those souls. And I think here, yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure I do. I'm pretty sure I get some human pine resin. Or sorry, not some human pine resin, some rotten pine resin. Right, I do. This rotten pine resin is important for now. And so what I use it for is I use it for the Crystal Sage in the Grand Archives. There's a Crystal Sage in the Grand Archives, and he can be very, very difficult and annoying to deal with. Especially for no hit, because he just adds RNG to so much stuff, and he's constantly firing at you, and he's a pain. You do not have enough damage at this point to one cycle him before he disappears. And so the second time you see him, there's other enemies around, it becomes too dangerous to kill him. Some runners, what they'll do is they'll throw firebombs at him and stuff to get him to despawn and respawn. But I personally don't like doing that. So this is a strategy that was actually made by a Super Mario Maker designer runner named Go Sagan. This is a Sagan strat. What we basically do here is we get RTSR. And as long as we have 40 endurance and 40 dexterity with the twin blades, you can use rotten pine resin on your twin blades. And if you hit the crystal sage 5 times in a row, that is enough so that when he reappears, you can wait, and he will die from poison damage. Otherwise, it's very hard to kill him. It's very, very, very difficult to kill him. We tried several different things, dung pies, toxic, this, that, just straight up damage, you know, killing him up on the second floor instead of the first floor. This is, I think, so far the only reliable method that kills him, which coincidentally we didn't figure out until later. Sagan figured this out. There's a lot of routing and stuff that, you know, was still being done when I got this run. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have enough stamina to do that barely, as well as you have enough, stamina to go under the first attack. You want to make sure you heal here. I have lost runs because I've died from falling damage because I've forgotten to heal. But you heal up. You don't need RTSR anymore. And now you just wait. Pretty much, you wait for, you can see that HP bar up there in the corner. That's the Crystal Sage's HP bar. You wait for him to die. And the death is signified by, I think you get a crystal scroll. I don't know what it's called, but it's a scroll. Fuck, I can't. I don't think I'm supposed to swear. I can't remember what it's called, but I almost swore again. Oh man, I swear a lot. Look, Squilla Killer's in the chat right there. His name isn't capitalized though. He has a small lowercase s. What is that, man? He's a filthy 6-month sub at that point. This was a while ago, huh? And Squilla's asking who came up with this one, and it was Sagan. Squilla, it was Sagan. Anyway, Crystal Sage is dead. So now this next section becomes a little bit easier. It's still hard, though. It's still hard. So you got to watch out. This guy does not respond to skulls. I think I find that out now. Yeah, he does not respond to skulls. However, the Thrall does. You want to make sure you don't get hit by those cursed hands because that counts as a hit, so you can only stand there. You gotta sprint past that. There's a guy that fires something here, but as long as you're sprinting, you're okay. Grand Archives is one of the hardest, most terrible sections in the run. Since we killed that Crystal Sage, we don't have to worry about him here, which is nice. I think I'm used to pausing here and waiting because you have to wait for him to de-aggro usually, but with the Sagan strat, you're okay. You gotta run past these two guys. Depending on RNG, they can give you multi-missile magic, which is terrible, or just, you know, throwing a lot of candle axe at you, which sucks. But all in all, decently okay to dodge. This next area, okay, this is where a lot of people get hit. I get hit a lot here. So much so that Bears for President came up with a strat for me. Basically what we do here is we bait that gargoyle and we drop down. We wait to see him, right? And then we book it because he's going to attack and he's going to fall down here. Previously, how we would deal with that gargoyle is we would have to run past him, which isn't usually a big deal, except in the Grand Archives, you're running past him on elevation. So all of his attacks become harder to dodge in weird ways. You no longer have to worry about just horizontal stuff. You have to worry about vertical stuff too. So in probably about 50% of the time, 50 to 60% of the time, maybe 40 to 60% of the time, he would end up hitting us or me. I hate that gargoyle so much. So yeah, that's the strat that Bears came up with. And as long as the Crystal Sage is dead, it's pretty safe. The one thing you have to worry about here is the pathing of these guys up here. Yeah. Because if they're in awkward positions, they can hit you, and it can be pretty terrible. Pretty horrible. But in most cases it's okay. Oh man. Yeah, see that gargoyle's down there. I've been talking nonstop for a while. Whew. I think at SGDQ, if I were, you know, well, obviously I'm going to commentate it, but I would probably be very quiet during boss fights and stuff, parts where I have to concentrate. And in some cases, it's easier to commentate as I go. Okay, we throw a skull here for these two thralls. Thralls have a little blowdart attack, a ranged attack. They can hit you in the back, which is not great, so skull deals with them easy. Skulls, funnily enough, also deal with all these NPCs, which have both ranged attacks and quick attacks, which is usually a problem, but you know, the one single skull deals with them, which is really nice. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. This section is a little bit tricky. Okay, so you're gonna throw a skull here, you're gonna sprint, and you're gonna have arrows flying at you, as well as enemies randomly attacking. It's weird. You want to run up the right side of here, and you really want the last guy not to attack you with a spear, because there's a chance that depending on arrow shots and the spear guy, you could get hit right out of your iframes on a roll or roll caught. And then the 3 Lothric Knights there, if you can get really great RNG where they all 3 of them will shine their weapon, they'll buff their weapon. Or you can get terrible RNG where all 3 of them will attack you. I think I got mixed RNG there. Okay, a little secret that, you know, is a lot of people know about, but surprisingly some people still don't know about, is what you can do is you can, instead of taking this elevator up to the Twin Princes, you can take this elevator down as well. And at the very bottom of this elevator is a Titanite slab. And I think in the any percent route, it's the safest slab to get. You can get another slab by going to the DLC quick, but in the any percent route, this is the safest slab to get. So this lets us get our +10 weapon, gets us ready for princes, and cinder as well, because right now we have a +9. I think it's important to note as well that you don't really need a +10 before this point. +10 doesn't really help you in any fights, like more than one hit. It doesn't grant you any quick kills. Like, it might help you with Dragonslayer, but there's no real reason to get more than a +9 until this point, or to go out of your way to get more than a +9. Okay. You'll notice I upgraded past 40 dexterity there. I got 41. After you have 40 endurance, there's no real reason to upgrade anything else other than dexterity or strength. And it happens to be that with the Sellsword Twin Blades, upgrading dexterity past 40 is more beneficial than upgrading strength. So that's what we do. We upgrade dexterity. I think we go anywhere. Oh my god, I got a host. Man, I got a host. Okay, Jesus. We go all the way up to 100 and 130 or something. Sorry, we go up to 70 dexterity. TJ Dave, thank you for the host, man. I'm sorry, I'm doing commentary right now. Go follow TJ Dave, guys. He's really cool. And now you're in the commentary run. Go follow up TJ Dave. He's a really cool guy. He lives in Japan and he has wonderful cheekbone structure. He does lore runs and stuff. He's just generally cool. But yeah, right now we're just setting up our TSR. It would be a good time for donations. So, you know, Dave, if you're still here, thank you so much. If he left, I hope you guys thanked him for me. You guys better have thanked Dave for me. And oh my God, Dibs is here. What's up, Dibs? Oh, Soup Lad. Oh man, cheekbones. Yeah, Dave is really good facial structure, man. Thanks, Dave. Anyway, back to the run. All right, Twin Princes is actually a very hard boss. In the splits, I have them labeled as Glitch Bros. I had them labeled as glitch Bros because they are a very glitchy fight when it comes down to it. They can do a lot of things. The mechanics in this fight they have 2 phases, and they can teleport to and away from you in both phases. Now it's important to note, sorry, hold on, that when they teleport, if your camera is locked onto them, it stays locked onto them unless they do this attack right here. If they do that attack right there, you will unlock and have to look for them and run towards them, sprint towards them, because that big hyper blade beam is very hard to dodge. However, if they teleport and they attack you right away, your camera is supposed to stay locked onto them. However, if they teleport onto a chair, it will actually cancel their attack. Your camera will unlock and they can do an attack on you, and it's entirely up to RNG or whatever to if you'll dodge it or not. So it's a very glitchy thing. It's also important to know, okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm luring him back so that I'm close to the fog gate. And when I'm close to the fog gate, when he starts his second phase, he will do this, and he'll do an attack where he fires a bunch of magic at you, right? If you're close to the fog gate, he will while he's using that magic attack, he will teleport to you, and he'll attack you while magic is being spammed at you. It's very, very, very hard to dodge consistently. It's very RNG based. So what we do is, actually Squillakilla figured this out, is if you are close enough to the fog gate, he cannot teleport to you for some reason, which is really nice. So what we do is we go to the fog gate, we face the fog gate, we dodge left and right to avoid the magic, and we don't have to worry about him dodging towards to us and attacking us while the magic is going. Okay. There's a lot that went on in that fight, but it takes me a while to explain things. It's a little bit difficult. But yeah, in his second phase, you got to kill his brother that's on his back. And he gets new moves and stuff like that, and his timings change as well. But generally, it's not too bad. I gotta close chat. Oh man, Otz Darva is here too. Shoot. Shoot, not the other one. Shoot. Go full up Otz, guys. He's super cool. He did the no damage run on DS2 very recently. And he's all in all just a good, wonderful man, that Otz Darva. He knows a ton about souls. Fabio, I'm okay. Anyway, what I do here is I level up and I buy human pine resin from Patches, which is dark element, which cinder happens to be, you know, it happens to be one of the best resins you can use on cinder at this point in the game. I also just go and I put all the ashes or the cinders or whatever into the thrones so that we can get access to cinder. So this would be a good time for donations as well, or whatever. There's not much to talk about here in this part of the run. I could talk about the cinder fight, which is coming up. Sure, we'll do that. Yeah, the cinder fight that's coming up. This is the hardest fight in the game, hands down, for no hit. Learning this fight is extremely difficult. Cinder's first phase has 4 parts to it, in which he can cycle between randomly, and attacks can transition in between. Learning his first phase in itself is very, very hard. You need to know how to dodge every single one of his attacks in each 4 parts of his first phase and in combinations of them. It's very, very difficult because usually fights have a certain rhythm or a tempo to them. Cinder's change. Cinder's tempo changes very, 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 very rapidly. It's very difficult. And not only that, but he has a second phase, and that second phase has entirely different attacks and one very specific hard to dodge attack. What I'm doing here is I'm setting up RTSR. It's not really anything special. Man, I've heard this song. This song is Lullaby. Okay. But yeah, Cinder is hands down the hardest part of the run. I think when I was learning this run, it took me 4 or 5 days straight of just Cinder practice. And even then, there was still, even then, a phase I didn't know. So Cinder has 4 phases, 4 parts of his first phase. He has his sword, which he starts out in. That's the one where you can do pretty much the most damage. He has the mage phase, which you can do a bunch of damage in, but it also has homing soul masses, which can transition between phases, which is a big deal. So you need to stagger him in his mage phase. He has a lance phase, which has very, very, very quick and long range attacks. And he has the pyro phase, which you stay away from because it's just too dangerous. It's also important to note that in this run, in this phase especially, I use a lot of, or I adapted my strats. I made my strats, the way I deal with Cinder, based heavily off of Tolomeo R's no-roll strats. So of course I don't no-roll this fight because this fight is the hardest fight for no-roll. But a lot of the sword phase, the way I dodge attacks, the way I strafe attacks, I use Tolomeo's strats, who's also a really, 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 really good Souls player, really good Souls streamer, ridiculously good. Anyway, pyro phase we stay away. It's just too dangerous to attack him. He went to mage phase. He transitioned pretty quickly. He went homing soul mass right away. So what we need to do is we need to strafe homing soul mass while dodging that attack. And only while homing soul mass is down are we safe to attack him. You usually only want to attack him once. And you have to keep that timer in your mind for homing soul mass. As well as be very, conscientious of the different attacks he can do and the timings for each attack. He did the hyper beam right there. So with the hyper beam, you want to be behind him. You have to be behind him. And in being behind him, you can get a bunch of damage off. And it's... Jesus, this song. In being behind him, you can get a bunch of attacks off. You want to stagger him so that he loses his homing soul mass. Otherwise, it's dangerous. He's in phase 2 now. Okay, he will always start off phase 2 with this combination of attacks where you can get a bunch of damage in. I play it safe there, and I almost get hit by that. That has a lingering hitbox. Cinder phase 2 has a lot of attacks. The attacks where he uses lightning are always safe to attack on. That jump is safe to attack on as well. I'm actually, I think, frightened or scared or playing it really safe. The lightning, the jump, depending on how he reacts, and the slam. This is... Okay, we just kill him right there, so we don't even have to dodge the lightning attack. That attack that he was charging up for is actually very, very, very hard to dodge. But you get a lot of damage off while he's doing it. And when his health goes below half, that is one of the only safe attacks to actually attack on. Okay, very complex, very complicated, very, very, very hard boss. So it's important to note here that if I was at AGDQ, this is where the run would end. This would be the any percent. It takes about 2 hours to do. And if I'm being faster, oh, my battery's low. If I'm being fast, it can be less than 2 hours. But that would be where it would end for the any percent. The any percent includes all bosses required to get the credits, nothing more. So the rest of this run is bonus, basically. You know, if let's say that, you know, there's a donation incentive or this or that, or you want a DLC showcase or something like that, you know, the rest of this run will be dealing with the optional vanilla bosses, as well as the DLC 1 bosses and the DLC 2 bosses. DLC 2, yeah, bosses. So the rest of the bosses that there are. Okay, we're going to go back to The Witcher. Okay. We do these optional bosses now because we have a very strong weapon, and there's no reason to do them earlier before an any percent. The way we deal with this run is you want to do the any percent first, and then the all bosses. I missed an attack there. That's not good. And then the DLCs section by section, just to manage your mentality and your resets. Because when it comes down to a no hit, you either do the no hit or you don't. There's no in between. You know what I mean? Like a good like 1 hit, 2 hits, that's not really good enough when it comes to no hit. So Curse Rotten Greatwood. You carefully here, you just kill all the enemies on the outside, and then since you have the Sellsword Twin Blades at a +10 and 40+ dex, you can one-shot most of his like things, sacks, you know, and they pop and they do massive damage. Putting him in phase 2, but since you have so much damage, you can kill him before anything happens, you know, which is why we do him a lot later. Dealing with his attacks or extra enemies, multi-enemy fights is actually, you know, it's not ideal. So kill him quick, kill him fast, and he's not a problem. From here, it's not on the splits. I don't include this on the splits because there's so many bosses on the splits already. We go and we do Old Demon King. And these two fights, Curse Rotten Greatwood and Old Demon King, you should never get hit on. They're very safe fights if you know how to do them. And they're very easy fights because you have very high DPS at this stage of the game. This would like also be a good time for reading donations or whatever if we went past the any percent. Yeah. Right here, I'm just going to jump off and do RTSR a bunch. Set up RTSR for Old Demon King. It's a pretty easy fight. There should be very little variance in it. Relentless Frost, what's going on? Hi, Barbie. Okay. Anyway, we're almost ready. So basically, with Old Demon King, is when you enter the fight, he has a startup animation. And in that startup animation, you can attack him and do enough damage to cause him to enter his phase 2, basically, or he has, I don't know how he works, but it causes him to enter his next phase, and then from there you can attack him while he's phase transitioning enough to stagger him, and in that stagger you can attack him enough to kill him. So here I think I hit him 5 times, 5, and then you make sure you're not near his feet, otherwise he'll do damage to you. 3, that'll stagger him, and then that'll kill him. And he does give a decent amount of souls, so I equipped the covetous Silver Serpent Ring. But yeah, very, very easy fight. Like, he pretty much evaporates. He dies so quick. And from there, what we do is we go and we actually start the hard optional bosses. This next section is pretty difficult. Osiris. We're going to level up. We're going to get lightning pine resin for him. Gold pine resin, because Osiris is weak to lightning. And you want as much damage as you can possibly get on Osiris. He's a hard boss. When we used to do this with the Astora's Straight Sword, he was even harder because we didn't have nearly as much DPS as we do now. But basically what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me climb up a ladder, get on an elevator, jump off the elevator probably about 2/3 of the way down or 1/3 of the way down to activate RTSR. and then run a very specific route to avoid the enemies, and then enter the Osiris fight, dodge into the fog gate so that the enemies that are behind me don't attack through the fog gate and kill me. And then once I'm in the Osiris fight, things get a little bit more difficult as well. The Osiris fight itself is very tricky. He has two phases. His first phase, it's very terrible dealing with his geometry. He has these big pointy knees, and he has attacks that will move you, and it just becomes, it's difficult. You only really want to attack him when you're behind him, and he also has an attack that he hits the ground and crystal stuff comes up from the ground and you can't get anywhere near him. And if you transition him to phase 2 during that attack, you lose a ton of damage. In his second phase, Osiris's attacks completely change. And he gains a terrible, horrible attack. It's an insta-charge. He gains an insta-charge attack. Okay, I killed that guy. I didn't realize I could do that with Smoldering. He gains an insta-charge attack. And what I mean by insta-charge is he doesn't telegraph it at all. There's no telegraphing of this attack in the slightest, right? It's just one moment he's there, and then one moment he's charging, and the hitbox is also massive. It's not a very well designed fight, in my opinion. It's not a very well programmed fight. But what we do... So here I'll drop off and I'll get RTSR. Or I almost get RTSR. I'll make up for it on this drop. What we do is basically we know the fight well enough to know when he's capable of doing the insta-charge attack so that we will pre-dodge the insta-charge. So I will dodge, and during my dodge, he will attack without any telegraphing. And that's the only way to deal with it, to be honest. I took fall damage there. That was actually very scary. But it makes stamina management during the fight very difficult because you never want to be in front of him. If you're in front of him, he can do the insta-charge pretty much no problem. Okay, my game crashes here, which is fine. I'm going to fast forward the video. Oh, and I have to redo this entire section. How terrible. But yeah, Dark Souls 3 will crash no matter what in a lot of scenarios. I think I've heard it depends on how fast you do the game, but usually it'll crash around Dragonslayer armor. In this instance, it crashed around Osiris. A crash is almost guaranteed. There's not too much you can do about that. Hopefully you don't have to restart an entire section. I've had to redo the archives before, but it's not a pleasant thing. Anyway, Osiris. So you'll see on his first phase, the attacks that are safe to attack back on are when he does a double swipe or a slam. Like that, a jump slam. Sometimes he changes them. It's a really annoying boss fight. I think you want 4 attacks here. Yeah, and then he's gonna swipe. You also want to watch out for the geometry of the area, because getting caught on roots can be a big problem too. So that attack is annoying because it runs out your buff and you have to wait for him to do it, and sometimes he spams it. That's a really good attack. I missed 1 hit. Okay, this is his phase 2 transition. You want to do as much damage as possible here. I popped a green blossom so I would have really high stamina regen so I could do a lot. Tail swipes are safe to attack on. If he jumps like that, see how I dodged? I pre-dodged a potential insta-charge. I did it again. He jumped and I was underneath him. That constitutes the hitbox. So I pre-dodged it. But that was a pretty fast Osiris fight. He didn't do any insta-charges, and I killed him in probably 2 attacks or 3 attacks after his phase change, which is a nice thing. It's actually a really good Osiris fight. That fight is very tense a lot of the time. Most of the time, it's very scary because you never know, right? Osiris is kind of like, he's scary. He's tense. That snake guy you got to run past, or sorry, dodge past. He can do a bunch of different things, but in most cases, if you dodge in a very specific position, you'll dodge his attack and you'll be fine. He can act weird sometimes though. Here, since you have RTSR active, you have to be very careful not to take too much fall damage or any at all. If you do, you know, you're dead. So the way you fall there is very specific. There's a warden here. Also have to be very good at dodging the warden attacks. And then you have to sprint, you have to run. The way I dodge coming up is very, very, very specific, so I don't take fall damage. And I also kill an enemy, because this is basically a mirror of the first area, you know. Except the enemies are harder. They're a lot harder. And they can also throw knives at your back. So I strafe a little bit here and dodge as well, because they can throw knives at you. The one I kill especially throws a lot of knives. Champion Gunder. Okay, this is my favorite fight in the vanilla game. He's like, you know, same first phase as Udix Gunder. Second phase is a lot different. Second phase is a lot of fun. Very aggressive, very fast-paced, and almost infinite stamina on this guy. He also has, he constantly attacks, and he's gained a kick as well. This fight, I also, actually, I think this is completely, for me, Tolomeo no roll strats here. Because you have the Celso Twin Blades, you do a ton of damage. Otherwise, that fight lasts a lot longer, and I got lucky with his attacks. I managed to stagger him and do a bunch of damage, but basically the way I deal with it is I run away from him, and I stay away from him at all times, and when he runs towards me, I run towards him to his right side, and I should be able to strafe most of his attacks and attack on a few of them. In the instance where he charges me, I back up and I dodge into him. They're very specific movements, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too hard. I think I'm one of the only runners that fights him like that. Most of the other runners parry him. It might have changed, but I think at the recording of this time of recording of this video, most of the other runners parried him. I personally just don't like parrying very much. Okay, so we just did Osiris, Champion Gunder. We're on Nameless King. That will be the very last boss of all vanilla bosses. Which could, of course, be a category in itself. If we, you know, want to deal with that. Line of Buoy, thank you for the resub, man. Thank you very much. Welcome back, sir. Okay. God, I'm hungry. Anyway, we teleport to Profane Capital to help us set up RTSR. It just makes it faster. We jump off, and it deals a bunch of damage for us because this RTSR we're going to carry pretty much all the way through towards the Nameless King. I think we heal once, but it's a very specific thing. This is the room full of jailers. If you are fast enough, you can run through them just around the edge, and it's usually safe. I want to play it extra safe here because I'm on 0 hits at the moment. So we're just going to wait for them to circle around so that we're out of their vision. Hi, fam. How are you doing? But this is another slow section. Not much to see here. Not much to do here. Just slow walking. It would be another time. That would be good for donations. Oh, actually, I forgot I did this. Here I grabbed the Xanth Sashes. The Xanth Sashes, they're on the way, so they're nice. Basically grant you some stuff as well as gold pine resin. And we use gold pine resin for the second DLC. It's better than human pine resin. I think we use human pine resin for the first DLC in most cases. Yeah, gold pine resin, you know, you need it because Mitter is weak to lightning. Mitter's a dragon, and you know, I think Gael deals with gold pine resin a little bit worse than he does with human pine resin. Okay. So yeah, from here, what we do is we'll ride this elevator up, and then we'll jump in a specific manner. I think we jump off this ledge just to activate RTSR. Oh no! We ride it all the way up. We get off right there, and then we don't jump, we just run off. Yeah, that'll activate RTSR. It's actually a little bit scary there. After Osiris, you get a gesture. I picked it up. I forgot to mention it. But that gesture, if you sit in this position, it takes you to Archdragon Peak, which is where the Nameless King is as well. Where a bunch of these terrible dragons are. These are some of the worst enemies in the game. They can actually, the dagger ones can parry you. It's actually a really frustrating thing. They have a lot of health. They have fireballs. And most importantly, they do not respond to alluring skulls. So you can throw all the skulls you want. None of these enemies will respond. And there are usually a lot of them at once. You run past this area in a very specific manner. You got to watch for fireballs coming behind you, you know. Open this gate. Hopefully none of them aggroed far enough to, you know, for you to have to worry. And this is a very, very, very hard split. So you want to sprint here. You don't want to stop sprinting. You do not stop sprinting. You want to hug this little thing on the ground and roll past his foot. Otherwise, you can get stuck on it, and it just leads to complications. This is the chain snack split. Chain snack. So Ancient Wyvern is the boss, but in reality, the boss is Chain Snack and all of his friends. It's a terrible split to practice. It's horrible. I'll explain as I go. So what I do here is I hit the wall. I want to bait out the 3 enemies in there. So that they get burned by the Ancient Wyvern's fire. We want all of them dead. So you want to see 3 health bars deplete. That's 3. And then here you need to run. This is a little bit tricky. You want to start your run, and then you want to run as soon as he stops his fire. But it's scary. It's very scary because sometimes the fire's hitbox will splash up the stairs, and sometimes it won't. So you got to be very... You know, it's a very, 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 very tight timing on that. I've lost runs to that before. Here, you can actually just run past this guy, but I want to play it extra safe. So I'm going to let his fire kill him as well. For some reason, sometimes the fire won't hit him. In some cases. But 3 blasts and he should die. And, like there. Just didn't hit him for some reason. He's just... You know, there you go. All right, awesome. Okay, this section next is tricky. This is very tricky, very tight on timing. You have to make sure this next guy doesn't fall on you. Hit him twice, turn around immediately, and hit the other guy before he has a chance to attack. Those guys are they're 2 dagger guys. They can attack very fast, and they have very short recovery time. Running attack on this guy. Bait out this attack. Bait out this guy. Running attack on him as well. This next section is a little bit tricky, this next little part, just because of the way this guy can move. He can move in very sporadic pathing and stuff. You want to do a running attack as he's running at you, but make sure he's running at you because sometimes he'll just randomly stop and then you die, which sucks. You don't want to have to redo the chain snack split. It's not a very fun thing to have to redo. It's okay to do it once, but redoing it is not good. And there is what we consider the boss. So I run up here to aggro him. I keep him in view while dodging fireballs left to right. And then I'm going to not turn away. I'm going to wait for that attack. You have to dodge as it hits the ground and as he pulls it back. Okay, I got good RNG here. He did fire, so you can go behind him and kill him pretty much instantly. If that doesn't happen, you got to wait for double attacks. And you just gotta wait for a bunch of different stuff. He can stall you out for a very long time. He's a very, very, very difficult enemy to deal with. Okay, wait for this guy. You want him to get hit by the fire. You don't want him to land on you, so that's why I moved down there. And then hit him as soon as he lands. Heal here, because you are going to take inevitable fall damage up that ladder. So you have to make sure you heal. You don't need RTSR past Chain Snack for Ancient Wyvern, so it's fine. Keep an eye on that guy. That guy will sometimes attack you. He most of the time doesn't. In the rare occasion, he will run to the ladder. It's only happened to me once, but it can happen. Wait for the fire breath here. If you move any further, you will die. And then you're going to jump off so that you take maximum fall damage. The second jump is when his fire is arcing up. And with that timing, you should have the proper timing to run off and plunging attack him. In some circumstances, if you don't have that timing, you can run off, try for the plunging attack, and he will move his head. And you'll die, which counts as a hit, you know? So, it's, you gotta be pretty specific there. Okay, so Ancient Wyvern is done. We're on the last one. We're on Nameless King. A lot of people regard him as ridiculously hard and terrible. He's not honestly that bad of a boss, but at this point in the run, your nerves are kind of going. For some reason, that enemy, as long as you don't touch him, he doesn't touch you. He just sits there, he's sleeping or something. Yeah, Nameless King has 2 phases. I'll explain as I get there. They should be relatively quick. With the DPS from the Sellsword Twin Blades, you're usually okay. The OK David Blades. So here I jump because I want fall damage. If you looked, RTSR activated right there, which is why we take the fall damage that we do. Okay. These roly-poly things, you got to dodge past them in a specific way. You bait that guy out close enough to the wall and don't bait the other guy out. You roll past him because that's like an instant attack and it can hit you. It has a weird hitbox. Stand there, wait for the fire, and then run through his legs, dodging the stomps or any other flame breath or whatever. And you got to be quick here because he'll blow fire shortly after that. You can see a few sparks from there. So I have RTSR already. I don't actually need to make this jump right up that ledge. So I'm just going to run to the left instead and be very, very, very careful for potential magic projectiles. I think my PB was 1 at this stage. So I don't bother getting the bonfire because I don't really care about it. It's either I do the run or I don't at this point. I use charcoal pine resin here. Fire. You don't really need resin at all. You have so much damage that resin doesn't really make a difference. But I use it just for that little extra bit. That hitbox is massive. So his first phase, Nameless King, you fight the King of Storm with Nameless King on his back. A lot of people have trouble with this. What you want to do is you want to not be locked onto him. That was a very quick first phase. Not be locked onto him. You want to claw grip this fight for sure. And just hit him in the head a lot. Nameless King himself, he has safe attacks, he has not safe attacks. So I wait for 2. If he does 2, I can attack him once. If he does that, I can attack him once. But he can follow that up, so I got to be quick. So 2, I can attack him. 2, I can attack him. Very, very quick second phase as well. This means he's dead. Once he does that, you strafe to the right. Make sure to avoid the lightning. And then you can attack him over and over again to stagger him and visceral him. So that was a very, 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 very quick fight. And not a very good showcase of what Nameless King can do. But that would be an all vanilla bosses run done right there. Yeah, that was a very, very, very good fight. I got really good RNG in the DLC right there. So now we move on to DLC 1. DLC 1 has 2 bosses. And they are difficult. DLC 1 has 2 bosses and they're difficult. DLC 2 has 4 bosses and they are much more difficult. So this is where the run starts getting hard. Like very, very, very hard. The all bosses isn't so bad. Osiris is probably the worst part of it. The DLC 1, this is when we start, you know, we spam skulls. The bosses, they have a lot to them, you know, like a lot to know about them. And DLC 2 is when it's just, you know, you need to be on top of your on your game. It's really hard. I buy 30 skulls here for both DLC 1 and DLC 2. I think I fueled up with gold pine resin, as well as dark pine resin, human pine resin. I might have some blossoms. Yeah, I think I buy blossoms as well. And then I spend levels because, wow, I'm literally 7 souls off of another level there, which is interesting. Am I gonna sell? Yeah, I'm gonna sell something. Wow. Okay. It's something that bugs you, you know. You're just like, oh. There you go. Yeah, sell one of the items, get another level. But yeah, that's all my prep for DLC 1, and I think DLC 2 at this point. I think I just go from 1 straight to 2. And I make sure I have all my rings and stuff, and I'm all good. I'm probably pretty nervous at this point because the run's going pretty well, you know. Getting to this point in the run is no easy thing. It's a lot of strain on you, a lot of you know, mental energy and stuff. Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh nice, Slippery Susie resubbed in my thing. Coltergeist, what's going on, man? And Taco Poofs, how you doing? Yeah. Okay, so what we do is we go back to the Cathedral, and we talk to Gael. So we see Gael now, and he's really small. We'll see Gael later as well. And there's lots of different theories on this, but Gael basically allows us access into DLC 1, the Painted World. And that's where we're going to find a bunch of things. And there's a bunch of different lore implications and stuff like that. But there's a whole new set of enemies. It's snowy. It's actually kind of nice. Snowy is pretty. There's wolves instead of dogs, and these wolves are much nicer than dogs. These wolves I don't think teleport. They behave a lot better. They're a lot easier to deal with. So somewhere along the line, Miyazaki was like, okay, let's give people a break. Thankfully, most of the enemies here respond to skulls. I think actually all of the enemies. Maybe not the Corvians. Maybe not the big Corvians. But this section, we throw a ton of skulls. You know, the trees aggro to skulls too, and the trees do this, you know, annoying projectile attack. Little fire that homes in on you, and when you're dealing with wolves and this and that, you know, you don't want to. Okay, I'm going to throw a skull, I believe. Yeah, before I get this bonfire, just to occupy any wolves that may have made it this far. And then from there, we're going to go across this bridge. Now, it's very, very, very important to note, you do not want to hit this bridge while you're on it. You really don't. For some reason, hitting the bridge causes you to bounce off of it. I just sneezed in the video. Bounce off of it, and then you'll fall to your death. So I deliberately wait until I'm on the other side of this bridge, and I hit it from the other side. So you don't have to, you know, worry about that. Open this door. You're going to walk past Wilhelm, who has a deep, deep, deep voice, who's kind of a jerk. He's terrible. I hate Wilhelm. I get this bonfire later so I can teleport to it for early access, and I talk to Friede. Friede will give you the chill bite ring if you talk to her, I think, twice. The chill bite ring is important for both bosses in this run. More so important for Friede than it is Champion Gravetender. Oh, for some reason I'm activating RTSR, yeah. I'm in my head at this point, probably. Reading chat or talking to chat or whatever. But yeah, that was just a random ladder climb. I could claim it's for RNG purposes and modifying boss behaviors, but I've already kind of given that up. Okay, climb down this ladder. Same thing you did, like, to get to the Smoldering Lake area, basically. And this is actually a very tricky section that's coming up next. What you have to do is you have to dodge a ton of archers and a ton of normal enemies while taking the proper amount of fall damage to activate RTSR. And there's a method that Bears and I came up with for this, specifically for this area. What we do is we throw a skull here, we aggro this guy, And you're going to strafe this spear and you're going to kill him. Okay, and then it's very important you stand right on that root. I'm standing on in a very specific portion. You heal up and you wait for the archers that are shooting at you to de-aggro. It takes like a few volleys. And the way you do this is you listen. You can hear the audio cues of arrows exploding. After arrows stop exploding for a while, that's when you can run. Whew. And so that will reset everything and allow you to do this very consistently. You run off there at a very specific part as well. And you do that all properly, you should have RTSR. And you should be ready for Champion Gravetender. So instead of the Pontiff ring here, I equipped the Chillbite ring because I do have to potentially avoid frost in this fight, so better safe than sorry. The extra damage from the Pontiff ring isn't actually that much worth it because we kill this boss really, really, really fast. Where I'm standing is very important. It causes the wolves to turn around when they're near me instead of just straight up attack. And if you do it properly, you can kill all the wolves very fast without having to deal with 4 of them, 4 enemies at once. Once the wolves are dead, okay, that's when the fight kind of, you know, relaxes a bit. What we're going to do here is we're going to wait for jump attacks from him. That's it. Champion Gravetender, he can get hyper armor on a lot of attacks, and he can attack using his shield to stop you from staggering him in a lot of cases. That attack in particular. If you attack once and hit him with the Sellsword Twin Blades, you can guaranteed attack twice. And you do enough damage and he has low enough health where it's a pretty fast fight. But you don't really want to attack on any other method or on any other attack except for that one. I think in some circumstances, Squilla dealt with this differently. He would iframe that attack and backstab it in a ridiculous fashion. So what I'm doing here is I run him around the pillar, get him stuck so I can rebuff safely. And then I unstick him. And wait for another attack. This marks his second phase. Once his second phase starts, you're on a timer basically. I killed him very quick because the Gravetender's Great Wolf, aka Sif, pops up. And Sif will slowly, or I shouldn't say Sif, this wolf will slowly walk towards you. And if you have to fight both of them at the same time, it becomes a nightmare. It becomes really, really difficult. You can get really bad RNG where you have to fight both of them at the same time, but in most cases, you're okay. That's one of the reasons why we fight Champion Gravetender in the area we do at the far back of this stage, just so the Great Wolf has a hard time getting to us. Great Wolf's pretty easy. He dies quick, doesn't have too much health. So once the Gravetender is done and you have Great Wolf, you're pretty much guaranteed a victory. His attacks aren't too hard to dodge once you know them and stuff. They're pretty straightforward. That's the first boss of the DLC. Next comes a difficult section. This next section is fairly difficult, and it ends with Friede, who is also a very difficult boss. A 3-phase boss. I think the only 3-phase boss in Dark Souls 3? I'm trying to think. Yeah, the only my sub notification. The only 3-phase boss in Dark Souls. Okay. So we go back to this rope bridge cave or whatever it's called. It is called that. And here is a running section mixed with a skull section. Or sorry, a running section that preempts a skull section. Okay. Now would be a goodish time for donations. There's not too much to talk about here. But yeah, you just run away from those guys. I turn the sound effects down here because we're about to run past a lake of Corvians, a little puddle of Corvians, and every time you run past them, they scream, and it's off-putting. It's a very off-putting thing, so I don't like to have to deal with it, you know? Yeah, I turned the sound effects back up. Oh, I forgot. Skulls actually do work on the big Corvians, which is really nice. We throw one skull here because we have to climb up a ladder, so you really don't want to mess with that guy. That guy has very quick projectile attacks. You throw another skull here just to cover your back, and then you're going to kill this guy because he can peck at you. If he's facing the ladder, you kill him. If he's not, you just don't worry about him. But you climb up the ladder. Climbing the ladder. And then you just run some more. Here's a small little skip we do. You use the terrain to your advantage. You basically run back up there and then jump. And that will get you on top of these houses, which allows you to skip a ton of stuff. That magic right there was a little bit scary, but usually he can't hit you. Like, that was a sniper angle. And I missed the ladder on my way up, so that wasn't good. Okay, this next part is where we have to fight Wilhelm. And ordinarily, you would just have to fight him, like, you know, to the death. He's an NPC. He's a hard NPC, and he can heal and stuff like that. But the way we deal with Wilhelm is a little bit different. I think speedrunners do this too, where they push him off the cliff with a shield or a dagger or some way or shape or form. They do, you know, something. This run is technically no shields, no blocking. So what we do is we run him off the cliff. We basically run around the gravestone in circles, just dodging his attacks here and there until he runs off. And sometimes he can do it really quick, and sometimes it can take him forever. Like, I think he just ran off there. No, he did not. And it's weird because if you look at him, sometimes he runs off, and if you don't look at him, sometimes he teleports back on. You know. Oh, that was close there. It's mostly just... it can be really bad. He can be really mean to you, or he can be, you know, nice to you. But there it is. Okay, yeah, he just ran off. I think. There you go. You get the contraption key and you get to move on. You get the onyx blade too, but we don't need that. So he's basically holding the lever hostage. Once you put in the contraption key, you get access to these stairs. You pass by the 4'3" little painter chick. The girl who calls Gael her uncle. And a big reason for the DLCs, if you look at the lore. Oh man, okay. This next section. Sorry, tired. This next section. This is where we use a ton of skulls. This is a very, very, very specific section. Oh man, very specific section. And the pathing is important. That's why I'm resetting the bonfire, because I don't want to run accidentally. So you use a green blossom. So stamina management is easier. You can dodge past these guys pretty okay, as long as they turn and look for you. You're going to strafe a spear up here from that guy up there. As soon as you get up and you're in between him and or the bell is in between you and him, you're going to throw a skull for both of them. You're going to regain stamina. You're going to move up here. And then you should be safe to throw another skull. If you didn't throw that first skull, you would not be safe to throw this skull. You throw it for that guy. Okay, you regain a little bit of stamina here. And you're going to throw a skull for these 3 wolves that are here. This wolf doesn't always jump out, so you throw another skull for him. And he should jump out there, right? And then another skull for this wolf, of course. And the wolf behind him. Just to be safe, you're going to throw another one. And then these enemies, funnily enough, do react to skulls as well. So you're gonna get the axe guy to go for the skull, and then you're gonna dodge this arrow. That arrow can hit you. He usually shoots in front of you, but it can hit you, so you have to make sure you dodge. And that arrow in itself, it has, like, once it hits, it explodes after a short delay, so you gotta be really quick. This is the worst, terrible room of the DLC. It's just a ton of bugs, and I don't know why they're here, but they're all here. You need to go in here to get this lever, but you had to, or this, you know, switch, whatever it's called, valve. But in doing so, you have to deal with tons of bugs, and there's a little bit RNG involved in here, like especially with those, you know, stamina management is important. But usually one skull will take, you know, will do enough. You don't have time to throw more than one skull in a lot of cases. But that's all you have to do to get access to friede. You just have to throw a billion skulls and run through a room of giant mutated bugs that are sporadic and fly and vomit maggots on you. Yeah. Okay. So now comes the hard part. This is hands down the hardest part of the first DLC, friede. She has 3 phases. The first phase is actually a lot trickier than it seems because you're in such a small area. You know, such a small area, and also your vision can be obstructed by Friede's dad, Papa, Father Ariandel. He's just sitting there. He doesn't attack you or anything, but your vision can be obstructed, and if your vision is obstructed, you know, she can take you out. Here I'm just setting up RTSR. I think it takes 1 full jump drop as well as 13 ladder rungs. And I want to make sure I have the chill bite ring equipped because I do get a lot of frost build up in this fight. Especially in the second phase. It's very, very, very important. You have the chill bite rings equipped. Okay. The only other notable thing is whenever you're attacking friede, you want to do backstabs. Normal attacks are not advisable. You usually want to do a backstab followed by an R2. Same thing as it was with Abyss Watchers. So here, we're literally just waiting for friede. You don't want to be too close. If you're too close, this is good. This is good. So that's not what we wanted. If you're too close, she can do very quick swipes. That's like a 50-50. Sometimes you hit that and sometimes you don't on the backstab. Yeah, I'm too far away there. And that's what I was talking about with the vision being obstructed. There, she went invisible and she jumped to the left. You can see it through the snow. That's how you tell where she jumps. The direction of the movement of the snow at her feet. I attacked her instead of backstabbed her because she was near a wall. I should get the backstab here. Yes. Okay, nice. And we get an R2. We do a lot of damage too. So she jumped above us. You saw that by the snow going way high above. I didn't have time to get behind her and she was near a wall, so I just attacked her again and dodged away. Right there, see? Vision was obstructed. It's dangerous. If we get one more backstab, I think we're good. Okay, that's a good attack. She's in the center, so I should get the backstab here. Wait in front of her so that she pulls up her scythe, and then you go for the backstab. She's dead. I want a buff for the second phase. I think I got the buff off. I did. You can do a running attack here and attack her, I think, 3 or 4 times. I do 2 there just to be safe. And the majority of damage here is going to be done to Papa. So what you got to do here is you got to make sure you're not close to friede when you're attacking Papa, and you got to make sure you're not standing in her ice trail, because that can lead to very quick frost buildup, which can lead to a hit. In most cases, you just want to be safe. And so friede's very close, and she's healing him, and he's going to do fire, and I'm just going to be very patient here. I'm very far in the run. I could easily go attack friede or him during this, and it would be safe. But I don't know how the positioning would be after, so I'm playing it very, very, very safe here. Yeah. Just being careful, trying not to get hit. Watching out for friede. Friede is a lot more dangerous in this fight than Father Ariandel. Yeah. It's also important not to lock on in this stage of the fight. You want to keep both of them in your vision as much as possible. Friede can very, very, very easily sneak up on you. And Father Ariandel has like very, very, very large hitboxes in certain instances. So it's a little bit dangerous sometimes. Friede's going to heal again. Go for a backstab. Or I should have gone for a backstab. Maybe not, actually. It depends. It depends what Ariandel is doing. You don't want to freeze yourself up in iframes, right? I could have killed Ariandel there if I went for him instead of Friede. But again, I wanted to play it really safe. Okay, GG. He is dead. Second phase over. So now we have to deal with Black Flame Friede. Very hard boss. A lot of different movesets. Again, you're going straight for backstabs. Or sorry, a lot of different moves, not sets. You're going straight for backstabs. There's a lot of opportunities to backstab her. That's the only good thing. But there's a lot of dangerous attacks she has. You'll notice that Friede has she has attacks from German as well as I think Maria from Bloodborne, which is kind of cool. But yeah. Here she just went invisible. In the first phase when I was, I wanted her to go invisible. Here I don't like when she goes invisible. It's actually a lot more dangerous, and you see my frost buildup. It's actually really big. That's a reason in itself to have the chill bite ring. If I didn't have the chill bite ring, I would have taken a hit there. I missed a backstab there. That sometimes happens with Friede, which is not a good thing. Barely dodged that. That's a very hard attack to dodge. Very, very, very hard attack to dodge. And the way she did it, positionally, made it like up the difficulty. Good, that's a good attack. Get the backstab. Should take, I think, maybe one more backstab, and then we're might be, I think it's two, yeah. But you gotta be patient here. You really, really, really have to be patient. I was gonna go for running under and going for the backstab. I decided not to. The last minute. You have to dodge into that attack to iframe it. I believe that attack is an attack that will just straight up kill you because of the amount of damage it does. So there's a specific dodge timing. But this should be it. GG. All I had to do was make sure I didn't run into her AoE there, and I was fine. That's it. That's DLC 1 done. Very hard DLC. Very hard bosses, and the rhythm and tempo of it, is pretty. It can wear on you. Okay, we got one DLC left. One DLC left, and man, I am tired. This DLC has 4 bosses, and it's very, very, very difficult. It is a very difficult DLC. The bosses, where usually the bosses prior to this DLC melt to Twin Blades, these bosses, they have so much HP. It's difficult, man. It is very, 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 very difficult. Yeah, so we're gonna set up. I want to level. I want some blossoms. I want some golden pine resin. And we're gonna get ready for the DLC. This would be another good time for donations and stuff. I think I get all the way up to 70 dexterity by the end of this. Grass on DLC 1? Oh, thanks. No, I'm just tired, Cat. I'm just tired. I've been up for a while, right? Just a little bit tired. Hi, Slothnot. Hey, man. We'll see. I might do some gameplay today. I might run some Bloodborne or something, I might. We'll see. And Luker's here too. Hi, Luker. Go follow Slothnot and Luker. Okay. All right. The Foxhound unit. What's up, man? Okay, I'm going to close chat again. For the last DLC. This DLC is very hard. In both running areas and in bosses. Very, very, very difficult. So in this first area, what you'll see is you'll see angels. I think that's what they're called. Angels, and they're basically going to be in the sky firing projectiles at you. You can't kill them except for by finding, you know, the thing that controls them and killing that, and that's in a variety of locations. But that is the hardest part of this first area, just the angels. You'll also notice I fall very long distances, and I don't take fall damage. That's because I fall in ash. For some reason, the ash just makes it so, you know, you don't take fall damage. It softens the blow. You'll find your first angel here. He'll be shooting at me right there. I don't know if you saw that projectile, but it was there. Run past these knights. You don't have to bother with them. And then right up here is where you're going to find the thing you have to kill. So that weird, like, slug person tree thing, that right there is the angel. Basically, once you kill him, the angel just dies. It no longer bothers you. So that's why it's not firing anything at me right now. Run past here. Make sure you be quick. You don't want magic to hit you in the back. Fall in the ash. You're safe. I get the bonfire here, I think, to be extra safe. I think I also equip Homeward Bones in case this next little section goes bad. I believe I'm the only one who does this section out of the no-hit runners this way as well. I think most people, or both Squilla and David Tanker, use the same method, but what I do is I basically chain skulls. So there's another angel here. He's up there. I think this is the first time I look at him. And you're going to hide in this hut. The angel is then going to kill one of those thralls, and you got to throw a skull and chain skulls to get this thrall over to you where it's safe to attack him. Okay? There's a chance he won't run over to you, in which case you should Homeward Bone. But yes. After that, you're going to run here, and you're going to hide here. It's very, very, very important you hide here where you can see the angel. You're going to wait for his, like, look around, like, you know, kind of thing. And then you're going to wait for him to slowly turn. So he's going to turn, and as soon as his shoulder passes that 90-degree mark, that's when you're going to run, and you need to book it fast, okay? You're going to roll off this ledge and land, and the angel there should not have time to hit you if you do that properly. Very, very, very important you do that way. And that guy killing that tree slug thing, that will get you, that will kill the angel that was firing at you previously, so you don't have to worry about anything anymore. In coming up here in this area. This area is actually really cool. Like, I really like how they built this area and the roots and all that stuff. I'm gonna jump off this weird tunnel thing to set up RTSR. Can be a little bit finicky. In some cases it has resulted in me dying, just because, well, it's like acceleration and elevation, and they don't really match well together all the time. Yeah, so I'm really cautious here. There we go. So everything's set up. RTSR is set up. I won't take fall damage here, and we're gonna fight Demon Prince. In my opinion, Demon Prince is the most difficult legit boss of the DLC. It's not including the PvP boss, because I think PvP boss is very hard, but I think it's artificially difficult. I think Demon Prince is the hardest boss to no-hit. Harder than Gael, harder than Mitter. And it's because, well, the first phase constitutes 2 enemies. I'm going to try and kill this guy as fast as I can. So I'm going to roll into his attack, do an attack, and then hit him 2 more times, and then jump away, or sorry, dodge away, while dodging both of their attacks simultaneously. I'm going to be continuously running into him and running to his tail in order to do enough damage, or in order to dodge his attacks and be in a position to do damage. That's a really good attack. You can get 3 or 4 hits there, and I killed him fast enough before this guy could power up and start attacking me in his red form. Demon Prince, the first 2 demons have 2 forms: red form, which is, I guess, embered, and black form, where they just stay away from you and shoot projectiles most of the time. When you have 2 of these guys in red form, it's very dangerous. They have very long range attacks. They're fast. And, you know, attacking them is very much not safe. Okay. It's also notable that I kill the demon from below first. You can kill the demon in pain first, but it will result in a different phase 2. Which demon you kill first results in a different phase 2. So I killed the demon from below first, which results in a more pyro-oriented phase 2, which is considered the harder fight. The reason I do this is so that I have a faster and quicker phase 1. I don't mind dealing with phase 2 pyro as long as I don't have to deal with 2 enemies at the same time. Okay, so here I think I deal as much damage as I can. I think I deal 5 or so hits. I want to hit him 12 times for the quick kill. So I'm being very, very cautious and keeping track of how many hits. Yeah, so this is his... Yeah, okay, there. So that was the 12th hit right there. I just missed a bunch. But... God, this happens so fast. It's an animation that's like a power-up startup to an attack that's a little bit dangerous. However, if you stagger him in between, you can do massive amounts of damage, and you can skip his very detrimental, you know, scary attack, super attack. You know, it's a scary thing. So if you're fast enough with that, and you hit him 12 times before he gets that animation off, you can get the quick kill. Yeah, you can get the quick kill. If you don't get the quick kill, you have to deal with fireballs being continuously shot at you, and him charging up again, and then you have to hit him 3 times before he charges up again. Otherwise, you just die. And I think it's a similar thing with the laser prince. Okay, anyway, Demon Prince is done. Now we got a running area. This section is relatively safe. It's a relatively safe section. It's a relatively safe area. As long as you execute properly, you don't have too much to worry about here. There are some instances where something can go wrong, but it's very rare. So what you want to do here is you want to hide behind the gravestones. These archers will be summoned by the Judicator, who's up there. I think they fire 3 volleys at a time. 1, 2, 3, and then you can run. And then as long as you keep that in mind and run a very specific path, they shouldn't hit you. You can just run behind them, it's no problem. And this also, coincidentally, would be a good time for donations. To read donations. If we were at SGDQ. I think instead I'll just read chat a bit. But... yeah, this is like near the end of the run. A very hard boss is coming up. A very, very hard boss is coming up. Not Mitter, but the PvP boss, Halflight. He's not considered too hard in just normal standards, but for no hit, he's very, 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 very hard. I've lost, I think I've lost a total of 3 runs to him. He basically decides if you get past him, you pretty much get the run, unless you screw up like I did on Gael. Very close to getting the run. I died on Gael. Anyway, run past this area. You gotta make some fancy dodges, I guess, but most of the time you just gotta space and dodge stuff. Oh, here's something. So these turtle enemies, they cast magic, and basically if you're standing still, or in some scenarios walking, or in some scenarios dropping, you will take damage from like that little circle thing that appears. So you have to do this section and the next section, moving consistently. You can't stop moving, and you cannot fall. Even if it's a small little drop, there's a reason why I, you know, walk or run off that edge instead of fall. Those things have delayed attacks. They're scary. Once you get the hang of them, though, they're not too bad. You often have to dodge 2 of them at the same time, though. Okay, man, oh man. So here, I can't remember what these enemies are called, but they're creepy. This is a little bit of a difficult section because there's a few things that can attack you. And they have decent range on them. You want to avoid aggroing these things. And the reason I take such a wide route... Oh, there's a Dragonslayer armor over there. Like, if you keep going straight... By the way, if anyone's wondering, you can get his armor from him too. It's actually kind of cool. But the reason I go such a wide route around this swamp, or whatever you want to call it, is because there's a Judicator in the middle. And if you get too close to him, he summons arrow guys and they shoot you, and it's almost guaranteed that they'll hit you. So I just prefer to be very careful here. Oh man. I'm losing my voice here. Okay. This next section, this is a tight section. So it's a nice run. You're getting up to the Midder Bridge. Midder's going to breathe fire on this bridge. And you're going to have to run very specifically and also throw skulls very specifically here. So you're going to bait out the fire. You're going to run back. You're going to wait until he's over you and the fire has subsided. You want to be very quick here. So you got to have a very accurate view of your timing. And then you're going to sprint all the way to a specific patch of ground. Or actually, you're just going to throw a skull first. I forgot about that. A specific, like there, that patch of ground, you're safe from fire, but you need to be there. The reason I throw the skull first is because if I don't, a guy comes out and he chills on the patch of ground with me and he attacks me. So it's dangerous. Kill this guy, takes 2 hits. And then you can bait this next guy into fire. Drink more water, thank you. And he'll die, you won't have to deal with him. You're technically safe here. You don't want to run into fire. So it's A-okay. And this is a little bit of a running section. As long as you know where to go, it's not too big of a deal. It's pretty much no problem, to be honest. I think someone can invade you here, but it's not a big deal. You get the bonfire up here. You don't really need to get the bonfire again. There's no real reason to do it unless you want a homeward bone or you know, want to finish a run or something. But it's important to know this is like the first time where you like see Midder. Like he's not just blowing fire at you and flying around. Like you actually attack him. It's also very important here that you don't aggro Midder. Like you don't run out until you absolutely need to. Because if you run out here and you do it properly, you can run straight to Midder without having to hide on the way. Without getting stuck there or this or that. You can run straight there and you're safe. That is one area where you are safe from fire, regardless. There's one attack where he can hit you there, but he doesn't use it often. So you want to use these opportunities to hit him while he's breathing fire over you. In a lot of cases, you want to hit his head as much as possible. And when he breathes fire, you simply move out of the way. If he extends his attack, like with a laser like he did there, you just move to that corner. And then you try and bait out the attack where he's, yeah, this one, where he's going to breathe fire over you again. Again, try and hit his head as much as possible. Don't get too greedy because you might get hit by his fire hitbox. And you have to kill him here. You have to hit him here. If you don't knock him off this bridge here, you don't get to fight him. Further along the level. So it's very important that you go and you fight this guy right here. You can't just run past him. Okay. Also, what you can do is so right there, that item right there is the Chloranthy Ring +2. I don't use it because we don't really need it, but it's actually a really beneficial thing. If I had more ring slots, I would definitely pick it up. I also got some green blossoms there, some budding green blossoms. They basically replaced the Chloranthy Ring +2 for me. Or +1, is it +1? I can't remember. I think in Dark Souls it's +2. I can't remember what it is. It might be +2, it might be +1. It's a Chloranthy ring. Open that shortcut. That's very important for RTSR setups and stuff. And then I'm just setting up for Midder here. Midder is my favorite fight in the game. It's a very, very, very rewarding fight in terms of skill cap. If you get this fight down very, very, very well, good, then you pretty much destroy the boss. No, like more than like your progression for it is very good. That elevator was for setting up RTSR. And then here's something notable. I've actually lost a run to this. There is a invisible illusionary wall. Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't have fire bombs, so I have to go back and get some, which is a good thing I opened the shortcut. But there's an invisible illusionary wall. You'll see it soon here. But basically, if you attack it within melee range, for some reason, I don't know if they just didn't program it well or whatever, you will fall through it on some occasions to your death. So you'll attack the wall, and then you'll just glitch through the stage, and then you'll fall and die, which counts as a hit, which really sucks. So the way we deal with it is we just, you know, throw a firebomb at it. So, you know, we don't have to risk anything. But that's why I went back and I got some firebombs. I bought some just so I didn't have to deal with it. I'm going to use this elevator to set up RTSR again. For some reason, I chose this elevator. You can either use this elevator or you can use the ladder near Midder. The ladder, I believe... Yeah, I got RTSR right there. You want to jump off from 34 steps or so. And the elevator, you just go right away. So here, this illusionary wall. So I'm going to put on the firebombs. And I'm going to throw them at the wall. Because if I attack melee range, I risk dying. That's all there is to it. I risk dying. Okay. Next is Midder. A lot of people find this boss very, very difficult, and I think it's just because they don't claw grip, honestly. But as long as you can keep him in camera, you know, look up and not lock on, as well as attack him and dodge his attacks, he's a very, very easy boss. And you can do tons of damage to him quick. So here I'm going to pop the lightning resin, and I'm going to pop a blossom, and then I'm going to try and attack him 3 or 4 times here on his wake up animation. Yeah, so I wanted to attack him 4 times. I only hit him 3 times because his mouth was open. But you can run away from this and then strafe in and then stay underneath his body to avoid the tail swipe and be very relatively close to his head to get a few hits off. That was 3 there, so that was good. You can actually walk this. You don't have to sprint this attack here. Tolo did this fight. No sprinting. Just walking. No dodging, no sprinting. Just walking. Yeah, so that means that he's going to do laser after. And then you want to be in close. This is a very good attack here. You got to iframe the fire. But it gets you a lot of damage. Okay, this is also a good attack. You want to dodge with it so you're in position to hit him after. And so this is his phase 2 transition. And you can get a ton of damage off. And that thing that he does there actually doesn't have that big of a hitbox or a radius. If you're good enough with your damage, you can actually kill him as he phase 2 transitions. Because he will always stagger at a certain % of damage. And after he staggers, you just can visceral attack him and kill him pretty much. So you have to be very, very, very on point with your damage. And if you're very on point with your damage, it's like no problem. You can see here my chat's really, really excited. Because it looks like I'm about to get the run. And this is the farthest I've gotten in a while. It's a very, very, very hard, difficult run. So I sell my souls here. I'm going to upgrade. Get, I think, 70 dexterity. As much as I can. And we're going to get ready for the PvP fight. 71 dexterity. PvP fight is the it's such a hard fight. It's RNG heavy as well. What the PvP fight constitutes of is it constitutes of first a Painted Guardian being summoned. And I think you have like 3, maybe 4 frames to backstab that Painted Guardian and kill it. If you do not get the backstab, it's like you increase your chances to get hit quite a bit. So you want to backstab that Painted Guardian. I'll explain it when it happens, and kill it, and then Halflight will pop up. And then Halflight is an annoying NPC boss, and he has homing soul mass that spawns periodically, and he has arrows, and he has projectiles, and he has quick attacks. Dealing with him isn't too bad as long as you know how to deal with him, but you have to deal with him in a very, very specific manner. Just because halfway through the Halflight fight, another Painted Guardian spawns. And this Painted Guardian you cannot backstab because it spawns in the middle of the room, and Halflight is, you know, watching, waiting, homing soul mass, all that stuff. So you have to, the basic gist of the fight is you have to backstab the first Painted Guardian, you have to hit Halflight twice, you have to bait him to the back of the room on a specific timer, and on that timer, you have to hit him, you have to wait for an attack during a specific window of time, and then hit him. And then as soon as you hit him, you have to run to the opposite side of the room, hope to God that he uses magic on his timer, which he should. And then you have to hope for really good Painted Guardian RNG. And good Painted Guardian RNG means that the Painted Guardian sprints towards you. Because there's a bunch of different things the Painted Guardian can do. And if the Painted Guardian waits too long, then you got to deal with the 2 of them at once, and you might as well just homeward bone. So it's a very difficult specific method to do this fight. It's very hard, and having it at the very end of the run, you know, does not make it any better by any means at all. Oh, sternum just popped. So yeah, right now I'm waiting for Judicator Argo to finish talking. He's gonna say "make haste," which is of course the famous line. Hearken the call, make haste. There it is. So when you make haste, I should buff as soon as it says make haste. You wait here. You don't want to be too close. When the hair drops and touches the back, that's when you backstab. You push in and backstab. It's very tight on the timing. If you're too quick, you'll miss the backstab. If you're too slow, she will dodge and hit you. But you need to backstab, and then after you backstab, if as long as you're a sufficient distance away, she will heal. Okay. So, Halflight. After his magic, he'll pull out his bow and start firing at you. His bow can be dangerous and tricky. I prefer not to deal with it. Here, I'm waiting for a specific attack. I was waiting for those homing soul masses to pop up so I can, you know, get rid of them. And then, from there, I can do... I can attack... Oh, twice. Jesus, that scared me. So, I think I'm going to play it safe. I'm not sure if I am. I'm going to play it safe, wait for those whole soul masses, and then I'm going to attack him again. Good. So now I rebuff here on the other side of the pillar. Or no, I'm going to pull him first. Nice, that's a good move. Okay, so that's not good. He used that magic, so we have to wait for an entire new cycle. I think I'll probably rebuff. Basically, the way you time it is... You wait for one set of homing soul masses and then another set of homing soul masses, and then probably half a set, like so halfway through the next set, you will get magic, which is what you want from him because it stalls him out the longest, and it causes him to be very passive in the corner. So I use that opportunity to buff. There's the second set of soul masses, and I'm gonna try and get him very close here. Okay, so yeah, I fucked it up. Or, sorry. Not squared it up. But now we gotta wait for another cycle. We gotta be really, really, really careful here. This is a very, very, very tense fight. Okay, that was the second set right there. So now we're going to wait for like half a set, I think. Or we're going to go for it. Nice, we're going to go for it. So, depending on audio cues, we'll see how far he is, how close he is. He just there used the magic, so he's decently far away. He's not optimal distance. I want him on the other side of the pillar, but this Painted Guardian is not giving me good RNG at all. There's a sprint. So I L1, L1, L2, R2. That is the combo you need to do to finish that Painted Guardian in one go. That will guaranteed get him. And if that doesn't get him, he will heal after, or she will heal after, and then you'll get him. So that means that the Halflight fight is won. As long as you are patient, now that the Halflight fight, it's finished. It's okay. Halflight is easy to deal with after this. You just got to be very patient and not make a stupid mistake, right? Wait for this homing soul masses. Be careful here. You know, don't take any chances with arrows. There's no need to. Just think of Octorok. Okay. And then yeah, it's pretty okay. It's no big deal. No big deal, man. I don't know if I bought human pine resin. Yeah, so just wait. Play it safe. Wait for the next set of homing soul masses. You know, because they can hit you. They're very dangerous. Throw a firebomb or something at him. Good. GG. GG, GG. GG. Thanks, Galactus. Okay, last boss in the run. The pressure is like very much on. Gael is a 3-phase fight. Yes, he is. He is another 3-phase fight. I thought I said that friede was earlier, but no, Gael is another three-phase fight. So what I want here, I don't know if I actually get it, but I really want human pine resin, and my chat's going very, very crazy. This is a very exciting thing. Keep in mind, this run has only been done by 2 people in the history of anything. It's been done by Squillakilla and myself. We are the only 2 people that have finished this run, so it's actually a very, very big thing. I do have rotten pine resin, so I'm very happy about that. You want rotten pine resin for Gael. Gael reacts or is vulnerable to poison, and his second phase, he's very passive in a lot of cases, so the poison really, really, really helps to speed along the second phase, which is a nice thing. Second phase is not a good phase. Okay, so Gael has 3 phases. The first phase is very just dodge heavy. The next phase is after that. The second phase, you have to very much deal with his crossbow, so you want to stay at a range. And the third phase is a combination of both. But each phase has different attacks, different tempo, different, you know, momentum and stuff like that. You have to worry about different things. So Gael, it is a very consistent fight, but you have to be... Oh, there's distortion in my chat. But you have to be very, 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 you know, focused almost on what you're doing. You know, it's very easy to slip up on Gael. It's like Orphan in Bloodborne. It's very consistent, but you gotta be, you know, on top of your... Not a swear. Okay, so this, I believe you can attack him twice. Yeah. On attacks where he jumps and, you know, like slams into the ground or does a stab, you can do 2 attacks. In most other cases, you can do 1 attack after every attack, or if he's just walking like that. And so the way Gael works is every 3 attacks with the twin blades, he will stagger. And if he staggers, you can get another hit free. So in a lot of cases, if you're good with counting your hits and you know how he's going to stagger and stuff, you can get 4 hits off on him, like I did there. Rather than just the normal 2. And you want to speed through this phase so that the poison damage, the poison that you infected him with, is more active in this phase than in the first phase. Because in this phase, you want to stay at a very large distance most of the time. That crossbow can be pulled out at any time, and it's very hard to dodge from a close distance. That's actually how I got hit when I almost got the run. And the way he throws the discs and they come back and stuff, it's like, in a lot of cases, you just want to play it safe at a distance. So what I do is I stay at a distance, I strafe, and depending on which attack he gives me, so I'll attack twice here. That's when I'll hit him, and then I'll run away and I'll strafe again. You also want to be very careful of the positioning here. You don't want to get caught up in the chairs, because if you strafe into a chair, you're pretty much dead. But yeah, it's just really patient phase 2. And patience is a hard thing in these runs, especially when your heart's beating so fast. So that's where the poison really helps. If you can't see it behind my chair, but or behind my thing, but it's still ticking away right now. It's still going. Yeah. So dodge in, 2 hits, and he should be in phase 3 very soon here. And in phase 3, everything changes. Yeah, so he's in phase 3. If I was close there, I could attack him 2 or 3 times, but I want to play it safe, so I want to be away from him there. I want to be very much away from him there. And then you want to get away from the lightning bolts, and otherwise you want to be close to semi-close. You want to be mid-range. When he does an attack like that, he's going to jump in 3. He's going to do 3 attacks in a row, and oh, the lightning's there, dangerous. You're going to dodge the first 2, you're going to dodge the 3rd one, and then after that you can attack him 3 times, no matter what. You just don't want to attack in lightning. There, when he reappears, you can attack him once, but I was jittery, I was scared, you know, it's frightening, so I was just like, oh, jeez, you know. My adrenaline's going at this point. Okay. You'll notice he has a lot of health. Okay, so here you dodge to the right, and then the left, and then the right, and then left, and then you strafe, and then the right. If he does that, he does it in 3s as well. That's a very hard attack to dodge. Very, very hard attack to dodge. You have to be very specific in your method. But yeah, you can tell, like, gael has 3 very distinct phases, and while some attacks do translate between them, you know, you got to learn them all. It's a fun fight when it gets down to it. It's a very satisfying fight, but it's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous, especially with the terrain and stuff. I'd say the most dangerous attack is this one. That crossbow attack, that can hit you very, very, very easily, especially if you're on an elevated surface. And he tends to do it a decent amount, to me at least. GG. Okay. That is, that's the run right there. That's everything. That's gael done. That is 0 hits taken, all bosses, plus DLC 1 and 2, which is a wonderful, amazing thing, a very hard thing to do. And yeah, again, still only 2 people in the world have done it, me and Skullakilla. It's a hard run to do. My chat's of course going insane, fucking insane. Oh, Squilla donated to me. It was really nice. It took approximately a year to do, and then a bunch of people subbed to me. Oh, I got a sub right now. Laya, thank you for the sub. I'll get to you after. Let me finish the commentary, but thank you so much for the sub. But yeah, it was a hard run, and it took roughly about 3 hours and 30 minutes. But yeah, this is roughly my commentary for the no-hit run. I wanted to do it a while ago, and so, you know, I had an opportunity to do it today. And SGDQ submission is closed tomorrow, I think. So I'm going to submit this for SGDQ as a low percent speed run, in which I do no-hit run strats, but I try and do them as fast as possible. And we aim for a sub 5 or whatever, and get that showcased, because I think this is a really cool run. And the no-hit community isn't nearly as big as the speedrun community, but it's a really cool run, and it's a really hard run, and there is a community around it, so I wanted to do that. But again, for SGDQ, I would be submitting the any percent, so every boss up to Cinder. And then for incentives, I would be submitting up to Nameless King, or up to DLC 1, or up to DLC 2, or whatever. It's like, look here, you can see That's me there. You can see how happy I am. My big beard. And my chat's going crazy. Oh man, oh man. Oh man, oh man. We are the best community quality in our country. I agree. Okay. And so to officially conclude the run, we go and we get the credits. The credits. But yeah, man, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. GG. GG, GG. Okay. All right, that is. I wonder if I'll do it or anything. That's the commentary for the no-hit run. All bosses plus DLC 1 and 2. I think this will conclude it. I hope, you know, I tried to fit in as much information there as possible in terms of the routing of the run, why we do it this way, boss strategies, you know, a ton of different stuff. And I think in the future, Squilla and I will be recording boss guides. Like we'll be doing boss guide videos. When we do that, I have no clue. It depends on both of us. But Squilla likes to message me and then just never get back to me sometimes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I actually didn't expect to have this many people watching the no hit run commentary. So I'm glad you liked it, and you guys let me know if you want more of this stuff, or you want me to commentate other runs such as Bloodborne or Dark Souls 2 or anything like that, or you know, or what do you like to see? Okay. Yeah, man. Alerts back on? No, I'll put them back on now. Okay, I'll put them back on. Oh, actually, here. I will put them back on in a second. Oh, Foxhound Unit donated $3.59. Hey, I know you deserve more, but this is all I can afford right now. Have a big, big fan. Watched your Noah DS3 YouTube. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for the $3.59, Foxhound Unit. And I believe I got a sub as well. I got Laya sub to me. So we'll do a sub story quick, okay? And then we will end the commentary with that, okay? Laya94, thank you so much for the sub. Laya wanted to do a no-hit run. So she went to seek the one known as Night Barbie. She traveled over lakes and rivers and trees to find Night Barbie. Night Barbie handed her a tech up, disappeared another. She put that tank on, found herself on Mars with Matt Damon. Matt Damon said, hey. Fuck. And Laya said, potato. Matt Damon smiled, erotic smile, grabbed him, threw him down to a deep dark pit with a deep dark demon. The demon fought, demon died, exploding a rainbow of light. A lovely lady appeared. Her name was Felicity. Felicity looked into her eyes, and Laya looked into Felicity's, and they instantaneously and simultaneously fell in love. And as they instantaneously and simultaneously fell in love, they instantaneously and simultaneously jizzed everywhere. And as they jizzed everywhere, Saint Isaiah jizzed on all the people that were non-subs. Bazagard jizzed on himself. NS Eternal jizzed on a cloud in the sky. Galactus D Cactus jizzed on an orchestra. Cat Tutu Wild jizzed on a flying cockroach. Dibs on everything jizzed on the Ivory King. Addicts TV jizzed on some soup. And then the two of them engaged in sex as the cycle of jizz is repeated. This time, Black Dog Blue jizzed on a fuck potato. Immortal Jeff jizzed on himself. Squilla Killer jizzed on some demon semen, and then Vitas appeared in the sky. He grabbed the two of them, and he took them to a land where they could live happily forever after. Thank you for the sub, and Saint Isaiah, thank you for the resub for the 4 months, man. Thank you very much. Soup Lad, yes, I will be putting this on YouTube. Yeah, I will. That's a new one, yeah. Oh, Kulturgeist jizzed on ID theft, and Senior Buttsqueal jizzed on Z Colpster. Sloth not jizzed on Absolver. Yeah. This will be up on YouTube. I don't know when I'll do Bloodborne. I'll probably do it sometime, but we'll let this go. Thank you, no problem. I was just an observer. I know. Okay. I think that's enough for commentary for now. Let's see. I've been going for 5 hours. It's 10:57 a.m. You guys wanna? You guys feeling a Bloodborne run? You guys feeling a Bloodborne run, or should we end here? What do you think? 1-1 for Bloodborne, 2-2 for end here.